All right, we got another special edition of the Legacy Spotlight Victory Life blog. I got two of my favorite people, two guys I go way back, my brothers from back in the day. This has been a long time coming, man. I got Ahmad Hawkins and Marques Hagans, aka Biscuit, aka Ball Hawk, two of the best ever do it at Hampton High, UVA. I'm just really excited. It's been a long time coming. And to my guys in Hokie Nation, you gotta understand something. It's a rivalry and all of that, but these two guys right here are my brothers.
Hey,
And
they're not gonna like you for that comment, man.
Hey, it's all good. Look, people know, man. Look, they know, and they know how long we go back, and it's a rivalry. And I know it's some people out there that take the rivalry too far, and I understand because I'm all three of us are competitors. I know when I played Hawk and Donnie Green, I ran my mouth, and I was trying to kill him. But at the same time, before and after the game, we family. We always gonna be family. You know what I'm saying? So let's chop it up, man. I want to get into so much you guys are doing. You know, you guys both have outstanding legacy. All the things you're doing. But before we get into UVA and post UVA and coaching and mod your brand, let's talk about where it all started. Hampton, VA, Newport News. Ahmad, talk about like what got you into sports. You know, like when did you know you were going to play football and track? When did you know you were that kind of athlete?
Well, as far as football, man, I fell in love with football because of my dad, Ahmad Hawkins Jr. You know, he went to Huntington High School, was a great running back. Went to Hampton Institute, played for Mr. Bako, the grandfather of Damon and Mark Bako and Pete. So I was born into that legacy of playing football. Never forced, though, never forced, but I just fell in love with it. Then I had a great mentor in Sean Hamlet who kind of bridged the eras because my dad, you know, played so long ago that the era of sports were a little different and the mindset was different. So I had a great mentor in Sean Hamlet. I was the only child, so Sean is my big brother. Like, he's not my cousin. Like, that's my big brother. That's essentially my hero. So at 5 years old, I mean, I played at Doris Miller when I was 5. I wasn't even eligible to play. You're supposed to be 6. And Coach Stanley White let me play was the American. I was playing quarterback and outside. They called it outside linebacker, but it was actually corner. But back then, you called it outside linebacker. So that's when I fell in love with football, man. It was just an outlet for me. As an only child, I remember always like having my own games in my room, listening to Dougie Fresh, the show, and that album. And I'd be just always previewing my upcoming games to that album and running around in my room. So, yeah, man. 5 years old, I knew I wanted to play football for a living.
Yeah, and Marques, what about you? I mean, when did you get started? When did that journey start for you?
Kind of like it's weird, like kind of around the same age. I was 6, trying to play 8, 9, and 10, and I was too young. But Coach Mann, his brother, Coach Alvis, man, and Coach Stanley man was my rec league coach. And so they put me out there. I was too young. And, man, I remember, like, my first time getting hit, man, my whole world changed. You know, it was like a difference from, you know, actually playing tackle and then, you know, being at quarterback and, you know what I'm saying, getting rocked. Jeffrey Stewart, man, changed my whole life. We used to call him Buki. I'll never forget that. Hardest I've ever been hit in my life, and made me question whether or not I wanted to play football at a young age. And, man, I didn't. I was like, man, they can have this for the birds, man. Like, I don't want to get hit that hard. And so I actually I started with Aberdeen Raiders with Coach Stan Mann. And man, he's probably the biggest reason why I played football. And him, Coach Mike, man, they just used to put this dog in us, man. And we used to always have this saying when we walked to the stadium, and you had to put this eye black on, play for the Raiders. And he said, we can't take no prisoners because we can't afford to feed them. And that just always stuck with me. And there was man, for like 4 years in a row, we never lost a game. We won the championship 4 years in a row. And it was probably one of my best my best experiences with football, just because it started there. And you know, Coach Stan Mann has passed away now, but man, I love that dude for everything. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be playing football. I was baseball and basketball. He was the one who really got me into football. So got kind of the same age, about 6'7", when it really started, and became a love for me after I gave it up when I first got hit. But when I came back to it, that's where I was destined to be.
Yeah, and both you guys talk about your fathers and coaching. It's funny, as I was preparing to do this interview, I was just, going over my notes and just thinking about your histories and your legacies. And it's funny because Hawk, your dad coached me while I was at Hampton.
Yeah.
And Marques, your dad coached me a couple of years in basketball when I played with Cal Moore and Giuseppe. He coached
Cal
me.
Moore.
Yeah,
Oh
AAU. And it's
forgot
crazy.
about that.
Yeah, I remember, man. And your dad and Hawk, your dad, those guys, man. You mentioned the Bacos. To me, when I look at them, even think about them now, their imprint is still in me. I mean, all the conversations, the things they taught me. Ahmad, talk about a little bit. You mentioned your dad. Go a little bit more in detail about. We talk about a lot about the Hampton High legacy, but the Huntington High School legacy. And, my father's told me stories about how good your dad was. What did he do for you as far as just teaching you the game and inside and out, just the intricacies of the game?
Yeah, man, my father, man, he was ESPN before ESPN. So when drafts came on, my dad would bring out a legal pad and write down the name of the team and who they drafted every round. Every sport, baseball too. Baseball is long. My dad's a baseball player. See, my dad actually, had the opportunity to go play professional baseball, but my grandfather wanted him to go get an education, and then he ended up going to the Army. So honestly, my dad was better in baseball as a pitcher because he was a lefty. But my dad was a hell of a running back. I heard about stories of him being a running back, and as I got older, my dad had back problems, so he had to have surgery on his back. So I never really got to run around with my dad like I am to do with my son. So I just lived through the stories of his friends and people around the neighborhood. Growing up in Newport News, my grandparents and my dad, they grew up in Newport News, so that's why I was brought up through bad news. And I always take pride, even though I went to Hampton, I always make sure folks know that my roots and my football roots are from bad news. Like, I'm a product of Newport News, and my dad and Newport News put that dog in me in the sense of I wasn't gonna be no punk. I wasn't gonna give up due to the physicality of football, and it just made me so aggressive in that sense, to where I wasn't always the biggest kid. And I think my speed came more to when doing the fear of football. Like, I didn't really like to get hit. So my dad was like, well, if you don't like to get hit, you better just outrun everybody. So that's how I became fast. Like, I didn't want you to hit me. And then my dad started challenging me. And as he started challenging me, I started falling in love with the contact, because I realized, well, if I run with the same speed and I run into somebody, it's actually going to hurt them more than it actually hurts me. It actually hurts them more. And then I started falling in love with watching Marques Allen, because my dad was a Raiders fan and he loved Marques Allen just because he was so fluid. So, but my dad, man, in Huntington, they always say that team could have beat. It's crazy that I'm a part of a team that's considered one of the best teams ever. And this Huntington team is always a team they talk about for Newport News that who would win between the two, because of the quarterback that he had on his team was just like Ron. So when I think about that, man, to me, that's a blessing, because football was just so much of a vehicle. Is that, like, my father is a legend in his own right. And I never try to compete with his lane. I always wanted to just celebrate my dad and celebrate Sean. And I never felt like I had pressure. I never felt like I had to live up to what they did, even though my dad wanted me to live up to what he saw in me. And he always instilled that, be great motto that I always live by through his teachings. And it was tough, don't get me wrong, but my dad taught me never to settle, no matter what. He always looked for what I didn't do right. I remember a game I had 2 long touchdowns. He was like, you could have had 4 if you would have did this. And as a 15-year-old kid, you like, man, what the hell, Pops? Like, God damn, can I live? But, as I got to college and I got that vitriol, we'll get to that, it prepared me, because I was numb. By my senior year, man, I was the same way. I could tell you about the state championship games where I had good games, and I could be like, I could have did this. And that's just how he instilled that in me. So, yeah, man, Pops is still the same, man. You see him on Facebook. When it comes to Sports Encyclopedia, he is the brain. And Sean will tell you that. He would just sit there and watch those drafts, man. And now look at me now. I'm doing the same thing that he did.
Yeah, and I remember playing at Hampton High and your dad being in the weight room, and I don't care if it was me, Sean, Hamlet, Reggie Pittman, Mario, he tell you to your face, he was serving up, and we're talking about the Shut the Hell Up Juice brand. He was serving that back in the day. I don't care if Channel 5 gave you the player of the game plaque or whatever. Yeah. He would tell people to their face, "Oh man, you was trash yesterday." Yeah. I mean, it was just funny, man, because I used to look at this dude. I'm looking at him, man. He be in the weight room. Y'all know the old Hampton High weight room on that bench right when you came in, and he would just tell you, and he would roast. Y'all think Hawk talk trash?
Yeah,
He would roast you. He would roast you, but
my dad is way better than me in talking trash. He is.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah, I remember. Hey, listen, funny story. I remember I was on there, and I always give it to Draymond Green. There was a clip of Draymond Green playing football at Michigan State, and he was getting handled. And I was on the post talking about, look at this dude, and here come, Ahmad's dad got on there and was like, I remember there was this All-American lineman that was getting handled his ninth grade. Hey, took my ego and crushed it just like that, man. Hey, humble pie, shut the hell up juice was served, man. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mark, talk about your father. Your father was the same way. Same thing in basketball, football. He would, and you come from an athletic family as well. Talk about your dad's influence on you and how it impacts you now.
I think it's different in football for me because I never got to play for my pops. And, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody growing up loved my dad, and, he was a hell of a player in his own right too, coming up through that Huntington era. And, he would always talk about Walter Bowser and, like all these Leroy Keys and like dudes that, that were like, giants before giants, like that paved the way for everybody else. And so, kind of like, Hawks dad, like they were all, even though they were good players, they were historians. Like they had so much like knowledge of the game. They had so many stories. And I think a lot of why they pushed us so hard is because they probably saw like once their career came to an end, like there was probably another level if they could do it all over again. Like there were some spots they missed out on and things they would have done differently. And they didn't want us to make the same mistakes. And so, just, sitting around with him, coming home from practice, like when I played midgets and, he was coaching juniors, he'd be drawing up plays, for the team and, just having a different lens of my coach. And then, my dad being a coach of his own team, watching him draw up plays on a yellow notepad. And, he was passionate about that stuff. So I think the game was always in me. And I think a lot, kind of like, Hawk was saying, baseball was actually my best sport. And, like that was just something that I didn't have to practice that. Like God just blessed me to play baseball. Like I could do it in my sleep. I remember there was a tournament. We went down to Cocoa Beach, Florida, and I was playing baseball and basketball in the same tournament. Like wake up in the morning, play basketball, go to a baseball game at 12, come back and play another basketball game at like 5, and then go play like a baseball game at 9. Like baseball was just something different. I played for Francis Mallory, man, and it was just the coolest thing,
Mallory.
And
little field.
Mallory, that's right, yeah.
That little field like 100 feet, man. 100 yards.
100 feet. And you had to cut through the ditch and make sure the boys from Glen Gardens ain't jump you on your way.
Hey, man, hold on, man. I was living in Glen Gardens. Stop, don't you? It won't me. It won't me.
If you had a brand new bike, you better go towards Big Butler Road and stay away from that.
You ain't lying about that.
But I think that, one thing about us growing up, man, we just did it all, football, baseball, basketball. And now you get kids trying to specialize so much. And that's one thing I appreciate about my dad, just always like trying to keep me well-rounded, and, you guys talked about, Hawks Pops, man, I could see him clear as day, the bell ringing at 2:05 and coming down to the weight room and him sitting in that little chair right outside the weight room. he had a whistle on like, Coach, man, practice ain't even started yet. He'd be like, man, you terrible, man. You terrible.
Yeah, he said, he tell you like that.
Don't let him see your girl. Don't let him see your little girl thing.
Listen, man, listen. He saw no, I'm not even gonna go down there, bro.
Yeah, don't do
Anyway,
that.
I like you said, I had got like player of the game like the week before, and we were coming to practice on Monday. And he was like, man, if I was giving out the award, I definitely wouldn't have gave it to you. You were trash on Friday night. You were trash. I said, damn. Is it like, and every day, but I think two misconceptions about our program, like especially at Hampton. I think everybody think that we just showed up and we just won. Like the amount of work that we put in on a day-to-day basis, even on those Mondays, man. Like Coach Smith would come out and have every single play
and just
on
a knee though.
And on a knee, like we would be out there for like 7 hours just listening to like every single play, like he had drawn up on that sheet. And I think the preparation and the hard work was one thing, but just people like your dad, man, that just kept you humble. Like nobody ever got a big head because he would always bring you back down. And it wasn't like in a disrespectful way. It's like a genuine love to say, like, y'all my guys, man, and I want to make sure y'all know, like, man, we can keep getting better. And he never, like you said, he never let you settle. And, you know, it was a couple plays like I might miss, and he'd be like, man, bro, you want to be the best, you got to make that play. Or, you know, you want to take us to the next win next week in the playoffs, like, you got to make that play. And it was just always just humbling to just always hear that because he knew he genuinely cared. And I think people like that don't always get the credit like Coach Smith or, you know, Coach Mann or Coach Mitchell, God rest his soul, like they get because it's people, you know, like Coach Gillum in the background, you know, guys that are there in the
five, Coach.
Coach Gillum, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and even, you know, when I played, like my cousin Myron, he had came back and he was helping coach. So it was just so many different people, you know, that helped that program, like, stay afloat. Of course, Coach Smith should get all the credit because he was the head coach. But there was a lot of people that helped that program, and the dudes put in a lot of work, man. So my pops had a lot of influence on my career, to say the least. So I appreciate him for that.
Yeah, you know, let's talk about Hampton High. Hawk, we'll start with you because Hampton High, we already know. I mean, it's slipped a little bit here in recent years because of, you know, whatever it is. You know, it's a different element. It's tough to be great for 40 plus years, but at the same time, you specifically was part of, you and Biscuit both were part of a huge legacy. We talk about state championships, national championships. I know we played together that one year as a freshman. You had an impact right away, but then after that, you just took off. Talk a little bit about what it was like to play on those teams and how it was to win those state national championships. You know, Marques talked about the work you guys put in, but just what it was like to win and dominate and how special those seasons were.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, so growing up in Newport News, I was playing at Dory Miller. We call it Dory Miller, you know, Doris Miller. But then my cousin Sean was at Minchfield High School playing quarterback. And I remember my Aunt Linda moving to Shell Road. I'm not going to say the avenue where she lived at, but I didn't know anything about Hampton High School. All I knew about was Ward, Minchfield, Ferguson. I mean, I was from Newport News. That's all I knew about. I knew about Bethel because my mom and all her brothers and sisters graduated from Bethel. But I didn't know about Hampton City Schools and their football program. So when he went to Hampton High School and the Crabbers, the first thing I was like, what's a Crabber? And then I started going to games and started enjoying all the games, seeing the success Sean was having and, you know, then going off to Florida State. So, of course, I wanted to mimic that. So I ended up moving to Hampton with my uncle, who also lived on Shell Road. He lived right by where the Peninsula Palace used to play at. But I would spend half the time in my Uncle Buck house and my Big Mama house, who just passed away, who basically, you know, raised me. And that's how I started playing at Aberdeen. I played intermediates. And then I remember we got our tails beat when we played against we scrimmaged the Hampton Tornadoes, and I met a kid named Ronald Curry who was younger than me that everybody was raving about. And I come from Newport News. I didn't know who Ronald was either. Long story short, we lost like 60-14. And I remember being wowed by Ronald.
60?
It was like 62-14. We started out 14-0. I scored the first 2 touchdowns. We was running run and shoot, and I had 2 little swing passes. I took them like 80 yards. And after that, they adjusted to it, and Ron started throwing the ball. Like, I wasn't used to playing against teams who threw the ball. You know, that was a scrimmage, though. And we had to do a meeting in our team that used to play for Hampton Tornadoes. But Fast forward to high school, I played JV as an 8th grader because my dad was like, you want to play 4 years of varsity. Sean said you want to play 4 years of varsity because you want that recruiting to start. And I remember I asked for Sean's number 9, and I'm on my damn to try to fight somebody that JV year trying to get that number 9 because Coach Gray just let anybody pick any number.
Coach Gray.
Yeah, so I had to take it, and I wanted to play safety. So I started safety for JV the first, I want to say 5 or 6 games. I didn't play any offense. And then one day during, I forgot who was leading up to it. I want to say it was probably Mitchville. Something happened to Chris Ricks, I think, or we was doing some type of drill. We was doing a pursuit drill, and we had to switch groups. And he put me at running back and told me to run to the pylon. You know, everybody got to take the angle to tag you off.
Yeah, I remember that drill. Yeah.
Well, everybody on the backside had to do up downs because they could never catch me. And Coach Gray didn't know I was that fast because I was playing safety. Because Sean played safety. I didn't want to play offense. Sean played safety, went to Florida State for safety. I was going to be a safety. Granted, I played running back all growing up. But when I got to Hampton, I wanted to play safety because I wanted to be like Sean. So Coach Gray said, I'm going to put you at running back. Can you play running back? And I was like, yeah, I actually played running back all throughout Little League. He was like, why you didn't say anything? I was like, Sean didn't start at running back. So I played running back, JV those last 5 or 6 games, did real well. Actually came up to varsity. Saw Walter was the starter at running back, so I went to receiver. And the rest is history. I mean, you talk about that Bethel game. A lot of folks don't know we have been running that slant route all week, repping it. And you was like, I don't know if you remember, I was struggling to catch it. And he was like, just keep working because we're going to need that. They ain't going to expect you to catch it. And I was dropping it. I was scared. I was dropping it. Coach Mann was lighting my ass up. And he kept giving me confidence because how our huddle was set up, the flanker stood right by the tackle.
Yeah, I remember.
It was always right there. And I remember my first tour day, I thought it was tour a day. I didn't know it was 2 practices a day, like 2 a day. I thought it was tour, like he was going on a tour. I remember when we first got in equipment, man, and I was tired, and I finally got up running reps with the starters. And to this day, I don't remember one time I ever saw you bend over with your hands on your knees. You always stood up with your hands on your hips, and you always looked forward. And I would always be staring at your face like, one day he gonna be tired. I'm gonna be like, damn, you tired, big dog? You never look tired. You never look down. You always look forward with your hands on your hips. And I had some success that freshman year as a punt returner. I remember, against Gloucester. I remember games I didn't play at all, and I was discouraged, like the Denby game, the Phoebus game. Walter was going crazy, and I just couldn't get on the field. And I just remember for some reason, man, like an omen, going against Bethel. Well, my whole family, my mom's side of the family graduated from, I'm starting for Willie. And, Willie was playing both ways.
Yeah.
And Willie was cool with it. I thought he was going to be pissed. He was like, nah, I actually want to play, I want to play defense. Like, you doing me a favor. And we get to that slant. We get to that play. I'm on the sideline. I had just got grass in my face mask, so I had to come out. And I remember Coach grabbed my arm, was like, all right, I want pro left, 50 slant to the flanker. And I was like, oh, Coach, man, I still can't see. And Coach Mann was like, if you don't get your ass in there, damn it, we need you. It's 3rd down. You're going to outrun everybody. Go. And he pushed me. And, man, my heart was beating fast. I told John Logan, I was like, man, pro left, 50 slant to the flanker. And my mouth was trembling. I could barely joke. Because when you showed that highlight that time on Facebook, you could see I lined up last. Like, John was under center, and I was still pointing to the ref. I wanted everything to just say, call a timeout. I wanted a penalty. I didn't want to run it because Chris Morant was playing middle linebacker.
Yeah, Morant, yeah.
I didn't want to run in there.
Yeah.
Man, when John threw that mug and it hit me in the midsection, when I caught it, my head went straight to the heavens, and I was just like, run, Chico, run. Chico coming, run, like Day Day and Friday. And when you look at that, I didn't stop running until I got to the track, to the curb.
I remember.
Like, I kept running. Like, I was scared as hell. People don't realize I was scared. That was like most terrifying route I ever ran. Like, dog, I wanted to cry, man. I wanted to come out. But after that, bro, I saw a flash of my potential. And Ronald came in the next year. He came in really the Norcom playoff game. Remember, he was warming up. Norcom thought he was going to play, and they was nervous because he was throwing scuds. And they beat us. They had Rudy and all them on defense. That was the Norcom team. And once I got hit by them, I wasn't scared of nobody. I just want people to know. they baptized me. But after that, man, playing with Ronald, him being my savior to get to the next level, like, I know how Scottie Pippen feel. And I love that I played with the Michael Jordan of my time. Like,
and you guys won when you were there. You guys won 2 state championships and 1 national championship.
Yeah, he got cheated out of the Decrease one when Buddy dropped the ball, but they say he caught it.
I remember that.
But other than that, man, just playing with Ron was like a savior because he was the one dude that I could just say throw it out there and I'll go get it. And his arm, people don't realize his arm was stronger than what he showed. Like, it was effortless when he threw the ball. And the work ethic that we had, the running sprints. I made it a point my senior year when we ran those 50-yard sprints, 25 50-yard sprints, full equipment, chin strap, that by the end of that year that I could run 25 straight full speed without bending down. And by playoffs, I could run 25 50-yard sprints without bending down. And that's when I knew that mentally, no DB had a chance versus me. Like, mentally, I was a savage by then because Andre Harrison was playing for Ward.
Yeah.
And anything I did, I checked the paper to see what Andre was doing. That's how much respect I had for him. But as far as going into games, man, Ronald Curry made me the most confident dude. But outside of coaching up preparing us, don't get me wrong, but with him at quarterback, I told dudes, you don't stand a chance. I don't care if you got 2 people out here covering me. I don't care who y'all got in the secondary. I don't care who you got on defense. And your quarterback don't stand a chance with him at safety. So I'm going to sit on every route. I'm going to gamble. Like, that's how special that dude was. So we had great components, great guys all around. But that dude, that wore number 1, the Wizard of West Queen, that's all I got to say, bro. He was special, man. And the most humble dude, too. And my dad would tell him he won't worth a couple of his player of the weeks, too.
Hey, Mark, what years were you? What years is you? You were there? I remember you were at receiver, right? And then you took over after Ron left.
His last year was my first year there because I was at Bethel, and then I moved to my grandparents' house, kind of like Hawk did too. But that dude was different, man. And that was like '98. Yeah, was my first year there, and I mean, you got to sit behind a dude like that, man. He that good. He was that good. And so I wanted to get on the field somehow. So same thing with the receiver. Wanted to return punts and stuff, but obviously Ron had that on lock too. But
Biscuit was wearing 9 when I came home too. I remember I came home to watch a game. I was like, yo, who playing corner number 9? It was like, that's Biscuit. I was like, ho. Biscuit? I was hyped.
Yeah, I did. No, you good. I had Hawk's number to start off. So that, like all that stuff is a part of like the legacy and tradition and, carrying on the honor of people who came before you. So, like you said, we came up through Aberdeen and, what I'm saying, and playing, the Hampton Tornado. Like we didn't get a chance to play the Hampton Tornadoes except once. And it was over at Lindsay, matter of fact.
Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah, it was at Lindsay. And, man, we had heard so much about Muffin and this, that, and the third. And I was just like, man, I can't wait to play these dudes, man. And so they could tell you, it didn't go the way they wanted to for the Tornadoes that day. We were all over their ass the whole
Glad y'all beat them.
Yeah, we were on it that day. And I ain't gonna front though. I walked away saying like, yeah, Muff good as advertised. Like I can't front. He was a hell of a player. And when I finally got a chance to get to Hampton and play on the same team as him, Ron was the ultimate, crabber, man. I mean, he just was the greatest. And the thing about Muffin, because Muffin was the captain of our team my junior year, Muffin probably is the best captain and the best leader I've ever been around in my life. And, he works hard. The team means so much to him. Like Muffin is the type of dude, like he'll talk, crap to you, try to fight you. But then as soon as you get on the field, man, like when it's it's us against them. He ain't gonna let anybody touch you. And that he was the same way at UVA. And just remembering my time at Hampton, man, there was so much talk after Ron graduated, because I didn't even start the first game at quarterback once Ron graduated. It was a dude named Fonzo, my homeboy. We grew up playing AAU basketball on the same team together. But we lost the first game to Heritage. It was in 5 overtime. And, man, that was a long night, man, because Fonzo started, but then I came in and we came back and we tied it up and we went into 5 overtimes. And I started from there on out. And they had this dude named Braxton, man. Oh, my gosh. He was just crazy. I thought Jared was the best defensive lineman I had ever seen. But this dude gave JG a run for his money. And we ended up losing that game, and we didn't get to play them again that season. So the next year, they were undefeated going into the game when we played them. Like that year, we had to go through Phoebus. Phoebus was the team that year, my junior year, that we really had to go through to get to the state. They had a DB and Shanks and all those dudes. They had a really good team. And then the following year, Heritage had like the team that they were saying were better than us. They actually ranked Heritage higher than us. And so we were at Black Mac one night. And
hold on, Biscuit Boo. Hold on. I'm gonna listen to that story. Just for our listeners out here or people that's watching this, at the end of the day, Black Mac is a McDonald's that we call Black Mac in a very urban area. and for those listening, Muffin is also known. His real name is Armando Curry.
Armando.
Yeah, he went to UVA and he's a Ronald. I just want people, because we use these 757 nicknames and lingo.
Oh yeah, we don't use governments unless we have to.
Yeah, Armando. I'm sorry, but we were at Black Mac, and it was the week before we were supposed to play Heritage, and they had played Friday. We played Friday, so we had went to a game Saturday night, and then that was, as we do, went over to Black Mac, and they came over there like a couple people deep, and so it was only me and like maybe 2 other people, you know what I'm saying? And they came and like approached us like talking crazy, like they were undefeated, we were undefeated, talking about how they were gonna smash us and this, that, and the third. And so they had a linebacker that they thought was the best in the state. We had a linebacker, Rayman. They had Kente Blunt. And I love Kente Blunt. That's my dog, man. But at the time, like, he thought he was the best in the state. He was a hell of a player. And so they were going back and forth, him, this dude named Eric Sidney. It was a couple of them dudes. So they came in the parking lot. They started talking. So I was like, all right, y'all, this ain't the place right here. We don't need nothing to go down. Like, y'all got it. We'll let it be. We'll see y'all next week. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we right at home. Like, if we really got a problem, you know what I'm saying? Everything we need is right there. Lincoln Park, anything you want to call. Queen Street, Shell Road, everybody's right there. But it wasn't even about that. It was like, we're just going to let it be. We'll deal with it. Man, we beat the brakes off of them dudes, man. I'm not even joking. Like, I hadn't been, like, so offended and, like, so upset in a long time. And the way, like, they would it wasn't even the fact that they came to Black Mac. Like, that wasn't the issue. It was the fact that how they was talking, like really thought they were going to destroy us. And it bothered me. And so we couldn't score enough points on them that night, man. And I think I had, like, 2 picks. I took them back to the crib. I took a punt back. Ran a touchdown, and I was just telling them. And you know me, I don't say anything when I play. I don't say 2 words. I couldn't stop talking that night. And my dad was on the sideline because he coached for Heritage. And after the game, he was like, "Man, what the hell is wrong with you?" I said, "Man," "these boys ran up on us at Black Mac talking about how crazy they was gonna do it." I had to let them know, man, like that bothered me. So then we got to play them again in the playoffs. And so, they got word to my dad, like, y'all got lucky. We gonna. Man, same result. Dang. Same result. So my time at Hampton, man, like that's the only time like I've ever been like out of character. You know what I'm saying? Like I always play the game the right way. I don't say much, and I try to be respectful of my opponent. But man, just to be a part of that whole Hampton High tradition, man. There's so many great players that come before you. Like, you're responsible, man. Like for upholding something that's great. And something that we feel is like the best that the state of Virginia has ever seen. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it, man. But yeah, that legacy, man, it meant a lot to me, and it always will be. So that's why a lot of times I think when people don't understand, like before UVA or before Virginia Tech, like that's that's us, man. That'll always be us. And
Family,
there's a lot
man.
of people that's something they can never take away from us. And we might, like, I remember we were playing my second year, and Jimmy Williams is like my best friend. Right?
Yeah.
Went to Hampton High, went to Virginia Tech, and we were running a punt back, and Muffin was blocking him, and he threw him on a pile and started choking him. And I was like, no, I swear to God, this is a true story. He started choking him. And I was like, dog, let him go, man, let him go. He was like, man, his jersey don't match mine. And it was just like, damn, like, this dude really is different. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but after the game, like, Muffin went up to him and hugged him and told him he loved him. But it just goes to show you, man, like, when we compete, we compete. Like, it's nothing personal. It's how we were all brought up. But as soon as the game was over, man, we all circled up, you know what I'm saying, hugged each other, loved each other. And then it was, you know, we saw everybody's moms after the game and all that stuff. Yep. But it's just this thing, Crab of Pride, man, it's something bigger than most people will understand, man. And there's never anything that was given to us. Everything was earned, man. So I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Well, Mark, you know, just for a second, before I go to Hawk, about handout, you talk about the Hampton High legacy. For you, it's even deeper because you talk about yourself, Myron Newsome, who won the best linebacker silver play at Virginia Tech, and your cousin and David Walford, James Wilson, Tyrell Wilson. First of all, James Wilson was before me, and I saw him, and I almost quit. I almost didn't take my helmet and jersey. I almost went home. Okay, James Wilson was a man. This dude got bored and won the state in the shot put. Okay, I mean James Wilson one of the best players. So for you, Biscuit, your legacy runs deep because Hampton High, you talk about your family had the impact. I mean, David Walford went on the UVA and Myron. I mean, it's really deep. You know that the family trinity there. You know, it's just it's great.
Man, let me tell you something. Can you imagine? Like getting hit by James, we call him DeMont. Can you imagine getting hit by DeMont playing Killer Man in my grandma's backyard? And then, okay, if you're so lucky enough to get past him, you get hit by Myron Newsome. You know what I'm saying? Like, my growing up was something like that's, and I swear to God, it's God's honest truth. Nobody has ever hit me harder than those two dudes in my life. And that's like when you come in the house and you crying because you know you got hit by your cousins. And then that's when that phrase, and every kid has heard it before, shut up before I give you something to cry about. and it's like, this is a validated cry, Mom. Like, I'm hurt. My ribs hurt. Like, I'm crying because my body hurt. And, you know, my grandma would always say, if you ain't crying and you ain't bleeding, you ain't playing hard enough. And they really took that to heart. And so, I mean, you talk about Myron, James, you know, David, Tyrell, but then you also got like Daz and Dion.
Yeah.
And so Daz is doing this thing in North Carolina. Dion did his thing at Virginia Tech. So, I mean, just my whole family, man, I don't know. My mom was a D1 basketball player at VCU. My aunt, her older sister was a D1 player at VCU. So just athletics, man, it runs. And my grandma and granddad never played a day of sports in their life. So I don't know where it came from. You know what I'm saying? But our family, man, is just something we take. I had a girl cousin who's starting point guard at Norfolk State, and I got a boy cousin who's starting basketball at Richmond right now. So it's just, man, we just been blessed, man. But growing up, like that's all we knew, just racing, playing football, tackling the street. You know, like when you got babysat by them, you just like, oh shoot, it's about to be a long day. All they want to do is just hit and just hit and just hit. So yeah, the legacy. My uncles played there. The legacy just runs deep for my family at Hampton, and that's why they were so adamant. Because like I said, I started at Bethel. And when my parents split, I went to go live with my grandma, and I still wanted to stay at Bethel because I was like, man, they ain't going to accept me. But I was completely wrong. And just to be a part of that legacy and that tradition, I mean, to play for Coach Smith, man, like, that changed my life. Because to be honest, after 7th grade, 8th, 9th grade, I didn't play football. Like, I stopped playing football. I was just playing baseball and basketball. Coach Smith was the one who got me back out to play football again my 10th grade year. He was like, yo, just come out. And if you don't like it, 3 days, you can go back home and just stick to basketball. And I stepped out there the first day, and I fell back in love with it. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate, man. And I take a lot of pride in being a part of the Crabber legacy, man.
Yeah, you know, Hawk, and I'll let you lead with this one. you talk about the legacy. You talk about the Peninsula District during that. You and Mark both talked about Phoebus and Heritage and Warwick and Kickingham. I know now it's not the same Phoebus, but the Peninsula District was a gauntlet back then. You're talking about there were teams that were 7-3 that didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. And you talk about how special Ronald was. When you look at Ronald Curry, there's always going, I mean, you guys have seen, we all on Twitter and we on Facebook, and you see the stuff, we all very active, especially me and Hawk. When you look at Ronald and you look at Eric Hunter, Mike Vick,
yep.
Tyrod Taylor, you know, Aaron Brooks,
Bubba
and then, the quarterbacks from that district. Talk briefly about what made Ron so special, and even the other guys you competed against and watched. Because for me, for Ronald, this is the best player I've ever seen in high school. And my family's Mike. He was so great, he overshadowed Mike. But also, when I think about Ronald, I think about his football IQ, how when I came back from Tech one weekend, I was talking to Coach Smith. Coach Smith said, I tell you what, he said, Ronald, I don't even have to call the plays. Ronald was calling the plays, his offense the entire game. He wasn't even getting plays coming. He was calling the offense. What do you think about those guys I named and their skill set? I'm not really asking who you think is the best, but more so what they did. You know, not everybody, but just Ron, Mike, Chuck, all of them.
Yeah, so, you know, with all those quarterbacks, man, that's just like it's a legacy, and each one paved the way for the next one. So Eric Hunter is always the lost quarterback at Hampton, and you know, he's the one that really blew the tops off as far as being a passer, you know, strong arm, accurate, also being mobile. He was big. Then he went on Purdue and did big things, and he wore number 9. I got educated with Eric Hunter once. I took number 9 out, and all I knew was Sean. And it was like, it's a guy that's actually more legendary than your cousin that went to Purdue. And that's how I found out about, you know, Eric Hunter. And so when you talk about Eric Hunter, he should always be remembered as one of the best, because his ability to throw the football was special. And anybody that's played with Coach Smith know that Coach Smith will run 64-65 trap all game. So anybody that went to Purdue back then as a quarterback had to be special, because Coach not throwing the ball. Like, even when Ron was there, we didn't throw the ball that much. We just took shots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then guys made plays off short passes as well, you know, whether it was Muffin, even Bobby would catch a quick seam route and take it 70 yards. And then you look at guys like Mario Gatlin playing receiver for what was number 12 that played with Sean? Because he was a good quarterback also. What's his name? Like
Fred Brown?
Fred Brown. He was a good quarterback.
Fred Brown was All-American.
So Fred remind me of Randall Cunningham. He was a guy that improvised a lot. Like, Fred didn't always throw on time, but he didn't get sacked a lot, and he let it fly with John Stein playing receiver as well. But then when you talk about Ron compared to like Chuck, Vick, Aaron Brooks, the list goes, Tyrod, Biscuit, what made Ron so special is, to me, everything that they did great was a part of his repertoire. Like, he did it too. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, like, he had the size like Eric and Aaron Brooks. He had the elusiveness like Biscuit and Tyrod. He had the rocket arm like Biscuit, Tyrod, and Vick. He didn't have the speed of Vick, and we didn't all know Vick was that fast. He got attacked. I want people to know Mike was a late bloomer, because I played baseball against Mike, played basketball against Mike. I grew up with Mike in Newport News. Mike wasn't that fast back in the day. Trust me, because I raced everybody. Like, that's all I did was race.
And you were in camp with Mike, right? In the
NFL. Yeah, I was in camp with Mike. So I saw him firsthand, like, okay, Mike done got fast. Because I prided myself on being faster than Mike, and Mike got faster than me. And I was like, damn, what they doing down there in Tech?
Now, that wasn't Tech. That was him.
No, I'm just saying, but Mike always had a hard – Mike was a guy that worked hard, and I know we're talking about Hampton, but Mike is my brother. Mike is a guy that made everything look easy. So even in camp with the Falcons, people thought he was taking it easy and loafing, but he was just that special physically that folks would be like, man, Vick over there loafing. I'd be like, all right, run beside him. We'd be doing like condition drills, and then Vick smoking their tail, and they pumping all hard. He went a little jerk like this. And he like, Hawk, you better tell these boys. I like, yeah, that's why I'm on this other side, away from him. You know what I'm saying? But what made Mike so special, and not Mike, but Ron so special, is that everything, he had everybody's attributes, and like he was that prototypical mutant that you got this concoction and bow, all in one quarterback, man. That's what made Ron special. And his football IQ and his touch, people don't realize how easy of a ball he threw, but he can break my fingers just like Aaron Brooks did at UVA as well. Like Ron could put some stank on it, but he knew when to. And like his deep ball accuracy, his anticipation, he never threw me out to the wolves to get set up. He would back shoulder me before back shoulder came into play. Because, you know, in the late 90s, we didn't know about back shoulder throws, and Ron would do back shoulder throws. But Tyrod was a ball boy during that time. And look where he is.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so ironic when I came home and I saw Biscuit wearing 9, because Biscuit was like a little brother to me, because our dads. So it made my day knowing number 5. The first thing I said, why he don't got number 5? You know what I'm saying? That's my first thing, was like, yo, he gonna get me hemmed up from Myron because he got on now. Like I'm not trying to have those problems, but the fact that he wore, because people don't realize that Hampton, a number, like the number chose you. If you wanted a number, they would say, no, you can't wear that number. I've seen plenty of times guys like, I want number 7 or I want number 1. They nope, you can't have that. And the only reason why Ron wore number 1 is because his cousin got murdered. His cousin died. He was wearing 12.
Yeah.
And the person had 1, they got Debo. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah. I remember that.
Mark, you came after Ron, and Hawk talked about the legacy and the quarterbacks, Fred Brown, Eric Hunter, Gerard Kroon, all the guys that came before you, Ronald, who is the best ever, all those guys. Did you feel pressure when you took over as quarterback?
Honestly, like, I'd be lying if I said I did. I didn't, you know, because I honestly felt like everybody in my family had already laid their like blueprint. And I felt like I didn't know like this was part of what I was being groomed for, but James had experienced it, Myron had experienced it. So they were just, you know, roughing me up and preparing me for the opportunity to be a crabber. You know what I'm saying? So like everything that they had learned, they were just passing on. And so when I stepped in, and I'll never forget, Myron was like, yo, do your thing. Just do your thing.
That sounds just like him.
Yeah, it was like it was like all the confidence in the world I needed. Like if this dude believe in me that I can keep us running and help us win, then I'm good. And I mean, shit, man. Truthfully, we lost 1 game when I was at quarterback against Culpeper in the state semifinal. It still drives me to this day, man. And I felt like if Myron was against me, like, man, nobody could stop me. And honestly, I'd be lying to you, man. I felt no pressure at all. And I didn't really see the game as that serious back then. You know, like I was just, like, people don't realize when I graduated high school, I was 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like I always just been like the baby of the group. Like even my best friends, like they're all like 3 or 4 years older than me. Like I just always been the baby. So I just always seen it as something fun to do. Like the game was never that serious to me. Like I'll be sitting here lying saying like, okay, in 10th grade in football, I knew I wanted to make it to the NFL. I just love playing the game, man. I did. I just love playing sports. I love playing basketball. I love playing baseball. I love playing football. And that's all I knew. Like it wasn't that serious to me at that time to say, okay, this is my beeline to the league. Like I just love to play the game. And I did, man. I just had fun. And Lord and behold, we went out, and Muffin made it easy too. I can't front. Like Muffin, Jared Green, Ray Mann, Hakeem, Jeremy Southern, like just a bunch of dudes I'm naming, man. They made it easy because they had been groomed for so long, and they knew the expectation. And then when I got my opportunity, Fonzo made it easy too. Like, man, we just went and rolled, and we never looked back. And so all those dudes, man, like Eric Hunter was like one of the first guys I seen. And I think sometimes people too think like Vick wasn't that good in high school. It was just the thing about Ron that made Ron so special is he was at the best of his ability in high school, which most people don't tap into that until like the end of their college career or until they get to the league. You know what I'm saying? he was all of that already in high school by like his 11th grade year. He was prototypical size. He could return kicks. He played defense. He saw the field differently at quarterback. Like you say, he called his own plays. There was nothing he couldn't do. I remember we played Bethel his senior year, and Coach Mann was turning 56. And he was like, Coach, man, I'm going to get you 56 points. He had 56 points at halftime. What are you saying? Like, and I remember seeing that, like, damn.
And football.
And football, this dude is the holy grail. Like, he is everything. And so I think it made Vick seem as he wasn't that good, but it's just that Ron was just that far ahead in his development.
Yeah.
And as you also saw, once Vick finally reached his development, who he was too. And I think that is the major difference to say, like, was Vick or Ron better in high school? You got to say Ron because he reached his full development at a quicker point than Vick. But once Vick reached his, he showed the world what he was capable of too. And the cool thing about all that, like, I don't think the thing about our area is a lot of competition, but I don't think dudes hate on each other. And I think that's the cool thing. Like, everybody's happy for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's the cool thing about our area. And so, man, just fortunate to grow up and seeing those, the AI, the Aaron Brooks, the Eric Hunters, the Michael Vicks, you know, Ronald Curry. I mean, that's a blessing, man. And then to watch dudes come from behind you and, you know, like, you know, Tyrod and you know, my younger cousin David, and it's a cool thing to be a part of, man. And I root for Tyrod, and, you know, I'm happy for his success. Like, that's just who we are, man. So I get it, man. The rivalry is splits down the middle is Blacksburg and Charlottesville. But at the end of the day, we all represent something bigger than that before we even got to college. And that's a part of our lifestyle too. So that makes us who we are, and makes our bloodline different.
Yeah, and you know, you talk about, and I agree, and you talk about the rivalry and also those quarterbacks. What made Ron's even more impressive is Ronald and Mike followed Aaron Brooks and Iverson. And Iverson's legacy when he left was impeccable. And then you hear Ron come in, who took it to another level, winning state championships and national championships in both sports or whatever, in football. I don't know about basketball, but at the end of the day, even after that to me, I've said this, that is not only the Holy Grail, that's the golden era of the Tidewater area. That was that time frame, the Eric Hunter in late 80s, mid 80s to the early 2000s. You talk about Tyrod and Taj Boyd, the DBs, Marques, my cousin, you haven't seen that since. And I'm not hating on these young guys now, but you talk about everyone in the district except for Lafayette and Gloucester, everyone else, it was a gauntlet, but also the talent there. Like Aaron Brooks, I mean, you talk about Mike being overshadowed. Iverson overshadowed Aaron Brooks because Aaron, that run and shoot that they ran over there, the offense with Antoine Smith and all those boys, they had 6'3", 6'4" receivers. They going shotgun 4 wides in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? And their coach was a mastermind, you know? So that was the golden era. And I just feel like I like to talk with guys, you know, Hawk is the king of debate. He will hit you with stats, will have you just getting off and logging off. But if you do the research, I just hit guys with, look, at the end of the day, man, in one season, Ron has 79 touchdowns.
What else?
That's a video game. Just stop. Just stop.
Yeah. But
I mean, I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you how fortunate of a receiver I am to play with a quarterback like Ronald. That blew my mind. I didn't realize until I was doing the speech to some high school football players before their game. It was asking me about, you know, talking about D1 and how if you're a D1 player, it should be evident that like the dominance should like jump out on tape, right? And I told him my stats. I had 19 receiving touchdowns with 39 receptions. Do the math on that. That's a touchdown every 2 receptions.
Wow.
Who does that?
That's
a
crazy.
Dude with a damn
That's
magician
crazy.
a dude with a magician at quarterback makes it very easy. Now I caught a lot of, you know, quick screen to the flankers, and I was fortunate enough to be fast. And like every time I stepped on the field, there's only one time I think that I wasn't the fastest. It was a couple of times when Walt was on the field and I was younger, and then David Macklin was playing for Minchville. I wasn't faster than him, and then I don't know if Mike was that fast back then, but I feel like I was faster than everybody that year. But to say that every other catch is going to go for a touchdown because your quarterback is that special, That's why I can't fathom somebody even remotely trying to say that somebody better than Ron. I'm like, dude, man, if you make a dude make my life that easy, I ain't even entertaining you. I can't.
Yeah. So Hawk, we talked about the Peninsula District and everything. Let's talk about the next level, the next step. Your how you got to UVA, because I remember I was supposed to host you. I was supposed to host you on a visit, and I was at the airport. Me and Myron Newsome. It was you and who was it? Kiaf. Who was the other dude?
It was it might have been D. Smith.
Yeah, Juice.
It was Juice.
And we was and Coach Cad was like, God damn it. Like we were walking around, and then next year, I said, well, Coach, he's probably gonna go to Florida because everybody around the way said he was going to Florida. Next thing I know, you end up at UVA.
Yeah.
Who offered you? How did you go from Florida to UVA? What happened? Like, and again, I mean, for UVA fans, it worked out well, and it worked out well for you.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you end up there?
Well, man, I got my first recruiting letter from Florida State because of Sean. It was a question there. So I wanted to go to Florida State from the jump. And Sean kind of told me about how it was an uphill battle being from Virginia playing in Florida. So he was like, well, don't come to Florida State. Like, I want you to write your own legacy. So you go anywhere you want to go, but don't feel like you got to go to Florida State, little bro. Like, create your own legacy. And then my Aunt Linda was like, create your own lane. So my dad was like, all right, as a recruiting started to happen, I started getting recruited by like Georgia, Florida, USC. I mean, I got recruited by pretty much everybody. But the funny part was I played running back a couple games my junior year. When Chris Ricks went down like 3 games, I averaged like 200 yards a game. So I started getting recruited letters from like Ohio State for running back. And my dad was a running back, so he juiced. He like, well, we could move to running back now because Chris would be gone. And I was like, man, I want to play receiver. Like I didn't want that contact that the running backs took because them 3 weeks of playing running back was different on my body than playing receiver. I ain't even gonna lie to you. So, but I started getting recruited. Florida had the most interest to start. Steve Spurrier and his staff did a great job recruiting me, wooing me, touching base with me every week. And so I visit Florida, and I'm really set to like commit to them when I'm meeting with Steve at the Swamp. He was at the 50-yard line of the Swamp on a bike. They got my jersey in the locker room, number 9, Hawkins on the back. I'm juiced, man. Cedric, what's Cedric name that went the green run that played with Plexico Birds? I forgot his last name, but he was there. He was there as a DB, so he was my host. So, and I'm gonna get to the Virginia Tech, what happened with that. And so I get to the midfield. Coach Spurs like, we like what we see. You so dynamic. You return kicks for us, and we really want you to come here. So I'm like, cool. So I go meet with a receiver coach. The receiver coach is talking, and somebody let the cat out of the bag because somebody said something like, "Oh, you ain't telling we're gonna move into DB." And when I heard that, I didn't hear it. I just kept walking. So I was like, well, I'm not going to commit on the spot like I thought it was. I'm going to go eat this alligator at Don Shula's restaurant, and I'm going to go back home because I didn't go out. Now, Gainesville is a strip of clubs. I didn't go out. I was a homebody, so they trying to get me to go to the clubs. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm just go to the room. I'm calling Big Mama and them. I'm homesick. Like, I'm way in Florida. So I get back. I'm set to go to Virginia Tech, and track was starting. And I was like, yo, I want to run this first indoor track meet because I had big goals of being like the state champ in 55. And me and Coach Hamilton was talking. I was like, Coach, man, I'm supposed to go on this recruiting visit. And we had to run our 4x2, which was nationally ranked. He was like, look, God damn it, Hawk, let me tell you something. This is important, Jack. You the captain, Jack. Look, are you the boss, or you the boss of them, or they the boss of you? Like, who is courting who? Like, do you want to go there, or do they want you to go there? Because if they want you to go there, you can reschedule. But I ain't gonna tell you what to do. It's up to you. We got to track.
That sounds just like Coach Ham too.
He was like, if you're on the bus, you're on the bus. Don't tell me your decision. I'll just know when you get in the van the next day. So I'm at Kahapa House. all week. He told me this Monday. So I'm at Kahafa House every day like I do after school. I would go to Kahafa House. We'd be chilling. And the recruiter would call Kahafa and I'll be there and I'll be talking. And I forgot who was recruiting, but I was like, look, I don't think this weekend's a good idea. I got a track meet. And he like, track meet? Nah, come to the visit. We got you scheduled for this, and this, and that. And I'm like, yo, I really want to run on this track meet. He was like, just come. I was like, all right. We hung up the phone. I was like, man, I'm not going to talk to him the rest of the week. I'm not going because I got to see Coach Ham every day. I be damn. Like, I mean, if people who knew Coach Ham knew, no. So it came to that Friday. I was supposed to get on the plane. I get in the van to go to Richmond for the track meet. And I remember when I got back and Big Mom was like, what did you not do this weekend? I was like, you gonna ask about the track meet? Like, I won. We did good. We got these medals. She's like, no, what did you not do? And I'm like, I'm playing dumb. Man, Big Mama sat me down, was like, don't make me tear your turkey tail up. Did you say you was gonna do something and you didn't do it? And I was like, well, I didn't I was supposed to visit Virginia Tech, but I wanted to track meet. And she was like, I didn't raise you like that. Like, you need to, call them, tell them. And I just remember, I don't know if I talked to you or Myron. One of y'all was like,
It was Myron. It was Myron.
Like, dog, I had everything set up. I was just going to give you your damn recruiting, the money they gave me, for your recruiting business. Like, why you ain't come? So I was like, damn, everybody mad at me. So long story short, that stopped. Like, Virginia Tech didn't recruit me no more. Which, they should have did it because I stood them up. Virginia came into play late. Like, I remember I went with Donnie for something to see Donnie down there, end up watching the game, enjoyed myself at the game. They was playing Texas in the rain. And I fell in love with Dex, hitting they tight end. And I was like, yo, who is that? And they was like, you don't remember the All-Star game you was a manager with B2 and them? And that dude that was on the West team that was knocking everybody out when they won.
I was in that game.
Yeah. He was like, that's the dude. And I was like, that's him? I was like, that's the one dude I think this is good as Sean. So I was like, damn, wait a minute. AB go here? Because Sherman was starting. So I didn't know AB was there. I forgot.
Yeah.
So I talked to AB. I get a recruiting visit. Right on that little damn jet, the little plane, that damn plane that made all that noise. And AB took me on a recruiting visit, bro, and I met Thomas Jones and everybody. Womack was with me. I ain't gonna tell no story about Womack.
Nah, don't do it. Don't.
But I was sitting in the car with AB, and AB was like, little bro, we ain't playing on the same team since Pony League in baseball when we played for your dad. It was like, I'm gonna be starting next year, and why don't you come here? You'll play. And I was like, bet. So I told Florida, never mind. Told the other schools, never mind. I went to UVA off AB, man. Like that because he was from home, and he knew me. Like AB knew me when I was like 9, 10 years old. Like, so AB knew me. So his words carried the most weight. Not Coach Tom O'Brien, not Coach Wilson that came to my house and he forgot his keys and had to come back. Not Coach Wilmer. Like, they all meant a lot. But AB's voice and being from the 7-5, because it's a unity, man, that meant that, like, AB was one of my heroes growing up because he would beat Sean in basketball. So that anybody that can compete with Sean, I held him in a high regard. People don't realize Sean Hamlet is a god to me. Like, I still ain't seen a safety better than him yet. Like,
Sean Hamlet was special.
Sean Hamlet is a god. He went to Florida State from Hampton High School. I didn't know nothing outside of Norfolk State and Hampton University. What is a Florida State? Then he won a national championship and gave me his national championship ring.
Sean Hamlet in the Eastern Regional Championship, I was a sophomore. He was a senior. Tony Jordan in the Eastern Region, and Kickertan had a squad, Morocco Brown and those guys, Macy Brooks, and the quarterback, Tony Jordan, threw a pass in the end zone. Sean Hamlet picked it off in the end zone, took it 101 yards, untouched.
Well, hauling ass, like Ed Reed did versus the Philadelphia Eagles in Baltimore.
And Hampton at that time, even now, but back then, the all black or the red on black, it made everybody look good. But Sean had everything. He had the hand warmers, the glove, he had the new gloves, The forum, Sean made that
I
uniform.
remember that.
He made it look good because it looked trashy now, but he made it look good back then.
Sean,
I look at your picture. I told him, I said, man, you was some trash looking at it now, but back then you was sweet.
Sean was special. Hey, Mark, I know you got to hop off soon, so I'm going to hit you with some of these questions I've been wanting to ask you for this interview. I know you got to jump off real quick soon. Well, UVA right now, you've been able to stay there despite all the coaching changes. You've been, to me, the foundation and the staple of that program. The players love playing for you.
Say
You
that.
had an impact. You're a great recruiter. And
Another receiver drafted yesterday. Say that.
Congratulations on that. Congratulations
Appreciate
on getting your guy drafted.
Appreciate it.
I've always, you and I have had a lot of talks. It's funny because people don't realize after the game and before the game, especially after the game, me, you, and Hawk will text each other. And, we talk about UVA and the rivalry. I felt like during me and Hawk's time, and even when you were there too, the rivalry, especially for me and Hawk, that's when the UVA Tech rivalry was at its best. Both programs had a lot of in-state talent and tons of players from around the way and even throughout the state of Virginia, that mid-Atlantic area. But let's talk about UVA. Do you think, number one, the rivalry has returned? And also, what is it that you're doing now at UVA as far as coaching and the impact you're having with the players, and what are you focusing on?
I would probably say, in all honesty, I think it's getting back. Even, last year, it was a huge win for us. And even the year before that down in Blacksburg, went down to the wire and, fumble play. And they made some big plays on the stretch to win it at the end. So I felt like the last 2 years is getting back, out of respect, as much as I hate to say it, the rivalry is what it's been, 15 years and running, Blacksburg is, the Hokies have, held it down. I do think that it's getting back. I can't say it is back yet because there isn't enough, consistency yet, but that's what we're working towards doing every single day is making sure that stays in our favor. And you know me, man, I'm a straight shooter and, I take it like a G. We lose and I salute and, give my props and ain't nobody gonna ever be able to say nothing funny about me. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's on the field or off the field, like I'm always be a stand-up dude. And so, and out of fairness to what's already been established, I think we're working to get it back. And once that levels off, then we can say, yeah, it's back. But we got some work to do, and we can only take it 1 year at a time. Last year was the first step, and we just got to keep moving towards that. As far as now, like I tell people all the time, like my goal and my dream was to make it to the NFL and get drafted. I did that, but now helping young men fulfill their dreams and, live out their goals is my purpose. And so fulfilling my purpose every day of helping young men and just trying to be a positive, example of, guys that don't come from, the best situations, but, making the most of whatever situation has been granted to them. And I never had anything handed in my life. And, I just always believe in working. Like a lot of people don't realize, like I'd be a superstar on Friday night and Saturday morning I'd be putting in carpet with my granddad. So it's just, always been a humble, hardworking dude. I pay my dues. I give respect where respect is due. And, I just try to live my life the right way and, hopefully inspire other people to do the same. And, my transition from football to coaching wasn't easy. There was like probably about a good 11, 12-month period where I was depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I going to do? Who am I without football? And getting into coaching has probably, saved my life because I had no direction of where I wanted to go after football was done. So I think the main thing with me is I'm just always upfront. I'm honest. Like I don't think there's a person you can come across that knows me or played against me that can say I'm, full of shit or I lied to him. Like that just ain't me. And wherever I rank, like that's never really been important to me, as long as I'm in the topic of discussion. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with that because I never set out to say back then I wanted to be the best. Like now I'm trying to teach these dudes to be the best. But back then I'd be lying. Like that wasn't my goal to be the best to ever come through Hampton High School. It was just having fun and making sure like I lived up to my family name. And that took me to college, which, took me to the NFL. And now it's put me in a position to help, other people like young kids. And that's my passion, man. That's what I love doing. That's my purpose. And so right now life is funny, to be in Charlottesville, Hawks in Charlottesville. And we got a group of people, man, that are really, helping people of color in our community, and we're coming up with something that we're going to do next month as far as running to try to help, give back to people on the front lines in the community. It's just a good thing. It's a good place to be a part of, man. And then, when real recognizes real, then whether you went to Virginia Tech like yourself, it doesn't really matter, because we were family before we picked up our college colors. And now the stuff that you're doing with Vicktory Life, like that stuff, it connects more dots. And so now more people of color are giving back to people of color and inspiring people of color. And so now it doesn't have to be like all these fancy role models that people will never see or never talk to. Now they have people within their community that have gone to college, graduated, got a degree, have healthy marriages. A lot of dudes in our era don't know what, healthy relationships looks like, healthy marriages look like. And so now to be, husbands and fathers and, have marriages that are flourishing, like, I mean, that's huge, man. And I think that the more we stay connected and spread and reach one and teach one, I think that's how we change the world, man, and give our generation and our future a chance. And that's, to me, that's what it's worth it, man. And I don't think anybody will probably remember as many touchdowns as I scored, as many lives I've impacted. And I think that's what's more important to me now. Like, and you guys know, once you have kids, man, like, I remember I heard Mike Tyson say one time in an interview, he was looking at all these belts that he had, and the dude was like, man, what does that mean to you? He was like, man, this is nothing. Like, this is nothing. Like, once you have kids, all you want to do is see your kids be happy. Like, that's everything. Like, this is nothing. Like he said, I could say I sweat and I bled for garbage. Like, this is nothing. And I didn't get it at first, but now, like, once you have kids, like, all the stats, all the records, all the wins, like, all that stuff, man, at one point it meant everything. But now, like, watching them run around and play and having them call you dad, and, they go to school and they do a presentation and you're their hero, and not, some basketball player, football player that they'll never meet. Maybe they might inspire to be one day and they might become it, but just being my kids' like hero and role model, and, other players that I've been fortunate enough to coach, and that's everything in the world to me. So that's where I am with it right now.
Absolutely, man. Well said. And I know I speak for many. I love it, and I appreciate you. One more question, or a few more before you dip out. Aaron Brooks, Matt Schwab, and others at UVA was special. I mean, Aaron, I'm a little biased because Aaron was special, and to me, that dime he threw the Hawk broke my heart. I ain't eat for a week. I forgot who I was. I see Hawk in the end zone with his hands up. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's bittersweet. I'm looking like, is that Ahmad? God, you know what I'm saying? But Aaron was special, and Grow was good, and Matt Schwab, he beat Tech in 2003, and Muffin had a great game. But when you talk about Perkins, and I was on Perkins from day one, and like you say, I don't care. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, he a wahoo and all that, but he was an animal. Do you think, in your humble opinion, I know you got to be careful because you're a coach and, this is going to be on social media, but do you think he's the best to ever play there? I mean, given what he did for that university, the program, coming in and only having a couple of years? Because I have my opinion. I would say yes, but what do you think? And what was he like as a player and a person?
I mean, I think you got to put him in the topic of discussion for what he was able to do for our university. I can't say the best to ever play, in all fairness to everyone who's come through the program, but he's in the topic of discussion. And I do think that he's helped give life back to our football program that desperately needed it, and, went through a drought of, times and periods where our football program wasn't good. As a player, and I say that with all due respect for any person that's ever wore a UVA uniform, and no disrespect to Bryce at the same time. I think it's just hard to say like who the greatest player ever was. There'll be a lot of topic of debate, but I think that, he's responsible for restoring a lot of pride, respect, and a lot of excitement moving forward with UVA football. So I will give him credit for that. And he is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play here. I won't deny him that. And that's with all humbleness and all fairness. He's one of the best to play here. As a person and a player, humble, hardworking, great human being, always good to the kids. My kids love him. Kids on staff love him. And he just was always appreciative. That's one thing I'll say about him. because he had broken his neck, and a lot of people had written him off that he would never play again. And that's one thing he never forgot what it was like to be without football. And even like the year before last down at Tech with the fumble, like he kept that picture of him and Coach hugging outside the locker room after we lost on his, like, he ain't lying, like he kept it the whole time up until we played him. And what's funny about that, we had a walkthrough like we always do, and the whole walkthrough he had his phone, and you could just hear he was just playing Enter the Sandman the whole time we were having the walkthrough. So, and that's some real shit. Like, that's not me fat like that. And I knew when I saw that, like, this game meant a lot to him personally because of what was at stake last year, and he never forgot that feeling. So being able to harbor that emotion, that man, just that moment of just feeling like disappointed, he carried that the whole year, and he never forgot that. There were some pictures that the dudes from the Hokies had posted, like really like disrespecting him, last year, and he never, like, he kept all that stuff. And he could have been, so disrespectful with it after he won, and the only thing he focused on after he won was, this hug hit different than the one from last year. And that just goes to show you a lot about who he is. And man, he's a competitor now. I remember he was saying, like, the first Monday of that week, he was like, let's run it back. Like, that was his thing. To anybody who was a Hokie, he was like, let's run it back. And that's all, he left it at that. But when we came out for walkthrough that morning at the hotel and he had Enter the Sandman playing, I knew he was going to be on a mission. I knew it was going to be a special day. And so I'm just thankful I got a chance to be there, on the sideline to witness it. But that's probably one of the greatest single-handed, most performance I've ever seen as a player or as a person. And that I can say without a doubt. Whether he's the greatest of all time, I mean, that's up for debate. But the most single-handedly greatest performance I've seen by one player, yeah, hands down, was that against Virginia Tech.
Well, you humble because you had a great moment against Florida State.
That day gone.
Yeah. You had Bobby Bowden. I remember the quote. Bobby Bowden said I'm gonna paraphrase, but he talked about another player in that area, Tidewater, killing us again. He referenced you, comparing you to Mike, and then a few years later, he referenced you, comparing you to Tyrod. And that's what you did. So, you always been humble. I know you got to go. I'm going to wrap up here with Ahmad. I got some more questions for him, but I appreciate you for your time, man. The love is there forever, man. I'm going to see you when we connect back home. I appreciate you jumping on this interview, man, and you continue to change lives. I appreciate you, boss.
Man, I appreciate y'all, man, for setting the way. I love y'all boys, man, and we'll link up soon, man.
Love
Yes,
you,
sir.
man.
Love you too, man. Hawk, don't forget to tell them about the 100 miles and running, dog.
Oh, I am.
All right, man. See y'all.
We running.
All right.
running. All right, y'all.
All right, baby.
All right.
Later.
So, Hawk, pick off where Biscuit left off. Talk a little bit about the rivalry. I mean, we talked about. I'm gonna ask you about that catch and you and the legendary catch with you and Ahmad in a second. I mean, Aaron. But at the end of the day, the rivalry right now and where it's at. Do you think Perkins has brought that back? I know Biscuit was talking about it's just one game and we had that streak, but you talk about like where it is right now and what y'all have coming back and the mindset that Broncos brought there. Do you feel like now we can say, okay, we coming to create our own streak, we're gonna do what we do? I mean, what do you think about the status of the rivalry right now?
Well, I think you said the key thing was Bronco brought back the mindset that was missing from this rivalry. So when I got to UVA under Coach George Welsh, you talked about the talent from where we come from split between two universities. So that's family playing against family. So you always compete the hardest versus your family because Christmas break, spring break, that's what you see summer. You're going to see them. So you want those bragging rights. It's no different than Hampton Bethel, Hampton Fevers, Warwick and Mansfield back in the day. So it all correlated to, hey, either I played against you or I played with you in high school, but now we together playing against maybe one of your former teammates and we need these bragging rights now. And it lost its way because you had some outsiders trying to change the dynamic on our part, trying to change the dynamic of the rivalry, and it was a domino effect. Like when London came here, it was hard for him to catch up because Coach Beamer did what he was supposed to do, He took over that pipeline, and he closed the pipeline that was here because our pipeline started going up north to like the New Jersey area. And don't get me wrong, you started getting talented guys in different positions on a consistent basis. And, you know, like the linebackers, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. But the landscape of this rivalry got lost. You guys took advantage of it. You put your foot on our throat. As a competitor, you're supposed to do that. As fans, you're supposed to do that as well. Forget basketball, baseball, wrestling. We're going to hang on to that because we're prideful. But at the end of the day, it's about football. Now, they started this, you know, little campaign, all sports. You get a point, half a point.
Oh yeah.
But people don't really care about that. You know what I'm saying? They care about
you.
football. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They truly care about football. And, you know, we're talking about football. So when Coach Bronco got here, he kind of dismissed it the first year and went down to Blacksburg, played 3 different quarterbacks and got his head beat in. And Coach Bronco being a very accountable man before coach, like he's one of the most accountable men that I know. And I have a great relationship with Bronco. And I was unapologetic. I went up to him and I said, if you don't fix this, you're not going to be around here that long, coach. Like he was outside of the press conference, just standing to the side. And I'm a part of the press, but I'm a former player. So I have access to him like other press people don't. And I can say things to him others can't because mine is coming from personal love. Like I'm not trying to just cut him down. So he understood that the first time he met me because I'm a ride or die for my university. I'm going to fight for him. You see me on Twitter. I'm a cape for UVA to a certain extent. You're just not going to dog us.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? You can be constructive. You can joke us, but I give you 24 hours. After that, then I'm like, okay, that's enough is enough. Stop beating on my university. But he had a self-reflection that summer. That's when we came out with the little clock countdown to beating Tech. People thought that was funny. Our fans didn't like it at first. But I looked at him like, but this is what you wanted. You wanted him to focus on Virginia Tech. Now you're telling him, why are you focusing on Virginia Tech during the springtime? Well, it starts because that's how far ahead you guys are in front of us. Like, we got to start thinking about you now. It's like preparing for the damn bar. You better start studying a long time away. You know, you ain't going to be prepared. So we got close last year with the fumble. I mean, matter of fact, Kurt Binkers last year, we got close to have some guys get suspended. We lose 10-0 and then work out our way. Then last year, it's supposed to have been, you know, one of the worst teams. The year before last, one of the worst teams Virginia Tech had in years. You know, your tight end who got drafted by the Patriots, had a great catch over Bryce Hall, who came from the other side of the field. I do want to tell people that, yes, he mossed Bryce Hall, but Bryce Hall came from the other side.
Yeah, if you look at the copy, Bryce came over. That wasn't
he
his.
looked for work. Bryce could have been a robot and just let King catch the ball, but Bryce tried to come over there, got mossed, and then one of our safeties who had a bad foot injury couldn't get down on that fumble like he wanted to. You guys fell on and scored. Then Perkins, you know, fumbled. He didn't see the guy coming. So we endure that, and then we win. And people are like, so y'all back? And I'm like, nah, we're not back. We just brought back the interest. It's a lot of interest now because I pay attention to the roster. Y'all didn't lose nobody. I mean,
now we got a lot of people coming back.
Yeah, I'm you know me, man. I'm a straight shooter. It's gonna be an uphill battle because your signal caller is back. He was young. Everything around him is back. We have a new signal caller who I think is very, very capable and very good. But we got parts that's coming in that we need to perform. So while folks are saying Virginia's back, it's like, no, the interest is back. Because you look at the roster, we still not going to be the favorite again. But I like that folks are taking interest in this. I like what the ACC network is doing, rubbing salt in the wound to Virginia Tech, that, you know, we beat y'all. So that's bringing the rivalry back as far as the marketing standpoint. But on the field, we still got an uphill battle.
And I'm one of the guys, and I think you're on my team with this, and I know me and Marques were talking about this when me and him are talking, texting. I'm from the school of thought, and I've caught heat from Hokie Nation about this, where I'm not afraid of y'all getting good. And I like when it was like when we played. Yeah. I know for me, when I went against you guys, you and Aaron, Wally Rayner, Patrick Kearney, Dingle, all those guys. Yeah. Why would you? I mean, I am jealous of Alabama, Auburn, Florida State. Because to me, Virginia, when you talk about 30 for 30s and athletes and documentaries, all the guys that have come, we're one of the largest metropolitan areas in the Hampton Roads area without a pro team. But yet all the guys that have come out, and then you look at the college football landscape, you know, both teams, and I've said this before, can be and should be better. And I think that helps the state.
Yeah, we've been messing up the money on our end. We ain't been holding up our end of the bargain. We've been trash can juice, and that's us. Virginia Tech has every right to blame us if a 30 for 30 isn't made in a couple of years, because it's like, dude, we can't talk about this 15, 14, however long it was, of y'all being trash. Like, that doesn't help for the movie, for the documentary. Nobody wants to see that, you know. So it's one of the things that I want you at your best. So that's why, even though I wanted to beat you guys the previous year down there in Blacksburg, I'm glad it happened this year, because Virginia Tech fans were like, we're going to beat y'all. The year before, they had a built-in excuse. So that's why I was like, you know what? The football gods work in mysterious ways. You guys are confident in yourself, your quarterback, that you made the change, never lost a game. You're rolling. We're struggling. Y'all, like, you really putting it to people defensively. So I was just like, you know what? This is the time that I told the guy, I got a relationship with a lot of the guys that just got drafted, went through the draft, that's still here. I talked to them a lot. They called me OG. And I told them, this is when you want to beat somebody, when they're confident. Like, you never want somebody to be bad and then beat them. I want you at your best, because I don't want an excuse. I want you at your best. Train hard. Like, I'm going to let you know I'm coming to kill you. Be prepared. That's not me talking trash. That's me saying I want the best out of them so I can make sure I prepare. Because if I feel like you trash and you know you trash, you ain't going to try. And what do I get from beating somebody that doesn't try? So it takes me back to Hampton. James, what was it? James Madison. We played in state semifinals. They talked all that trash.
Yeah.
And people was like, oh, what y'all gonna do now that somebody talking to you? I was clapping like, finally, because all the Hampton teams, Bethel scheduled us on their homecoming my senior year. We beat the brakes off them because that's disrespectful, but we like that. We love that. You see, I'm looking at, we love that they did that. You know, wishful thinking, but it won't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, when folks, I never understood why folks always talk trash to Floyd May. Like, when you know you got a champ in front of you, don't talk to him. You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm crazy. I'm different. I'm going to talk to you. I want you to be at your best, because I'm going to punish you if you're not at your best. And that's what y'all did to us. Y'all punished us. Like, during this streak, y'all not only beat us, you were punishing us. It wasn't a doubt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it, because I'm looking at all these guys that's wearing the V and the Saber. I'm looking at them, I'm like, bruh, yeah, you might have played good this game versus those dudes, but that other school, yeah, you always should be focused. I'm always focused on tech. I don't even play anymore. I'm always focused on tech, because I'm competitive.
So with that being said, and you always been a competitor, when that game in '98, they showed that a lot of times ESPN or ESPNU will show games or replays of games before the team plays that week. And you know, my son's a big fan of yours.
Yeah, appreciate that. And his name Isaiah, right?
Yeah. He always says, "Trash can juice, shut the hell up." Well, he don't say "shut the hell" around me, but he knows you're saying. Now he even says it now. He'll see something like, "Oh, he's trash can juice." You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, and I'm looking at it, and he don't, you know, he turns 14 in May, and nobody around, you know, up in the 703. That's his saying, and he's like, I'm like, nah, that's Ahmad saying. But he saw that game, and he saw you when you caught that pass, and after you got up, you ran over there. You did this, which is
that's what was birthed.
But let's talk about that real quick, leading up to it, because that's one of the greatest comebacks in UVA history. And it's funny because a few years ahead of that, prior to, we had one of the greatest comebacks in '95 when Antonio Banks from around the way.
Number 9.
Yep, number 9, AB, Newport News. Yep. He picked it off.
You tried to triple.
Yeah. My guy, Lauren Johnson, remember that game? Lauren Johnson got hurt, Ike Charlton and Anthony Midget. and we were in man, correct? Weren't we in man?
It was in man.
Yeah.
And blitz man, because he was inside leverage. No, and I was on the wide side of the field.
So talk about that. The drive leading up. I mean, it's in the Berg. It's 98. It's both teams ranked. What is Aaron saying to y'all as y'all driving? Like, what's going on? Like that whole. What do you remember? Like what leading up to it? What happened?
Yeah. So leading up to it, I want to say that's the drive where Stoops got kind of collided with the receiver, and y'all caught a deep pass to get y'all to the 20. And I think Travis Griffin and Donnie got a couple sacks like back to back to get you out of field goal range. And your feisty punter who was fighting everybody that game,
Jimmy Kimball,
salute to him, man. He was competing that day like big. He was trying to fight Womack, Donnie Green, like he had heart. Because those are the dudes you leave alone. He had a great coffin kick punt that Beamer, Shane, that's the year they started that you couldn't hit the center. So Shane got down, kind of got pinballed by the second and third level, but Shane down at like I want to say 5 or 6 yard line. And then we come out, and I was on sideline because we're doing, 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end because we were backed up. And we knew we was going to try to feature Casey, our tight end, to kind of soften up the outside, because we figured if we could throw the ball to the tight end, then we could start to take shots on the edge. And if we was taking shots, we had to kind of go opposite of the hash. Like, instead of trying to throw to the boundaries, we would have to use Aaron's big arm talent to throw to the opposite hash. And we felt like with them being inside leverage, with the DBs being inside leverage, that Aaron could get the ball to us before they could come downhill. So Casey catches a pass. I think Terrence Wilkins drops a pass. Then Kevin Coffey made an awesome catch over the middle. Then Kevin made a far side catch on a bend route in which Aaron was supposed to go to the boundary, got flushed to the left, and then reset his shoulders and pointed all the way to the field and threw a laser. And Midget looked back like dog and laughed like, "What you want me to do?" Like he threw a dart from the opposite hash to the far numbers, a dart. To what Kevin had to look back in the sun and his contact popped out. So that's how I got in the game. We get into the game, we're running the same mirror play every play, because we're trying to use Casey. And if Casey not open, then we know we got one-on-one outside. So we ran the same play. We ran the same play the whole time. So we throw to Casey. Casey didn't catch it, but he said, "Sir, I caught the ball." And they give us a spot. So I'm being honest with you. Casey didn't catch the ball. He
remember
went over it. It was underneath the side of him.
Yeah.
And I could see it. And I'm like, damn, I'm running back to the huddle. Past Casey. And Casey's like, sir, I really caught it. Sir, I caught the ball. And I'm like, damn, Casey, you like, are they really going to say he caught it? And they came in. They like, he caught it. So we get to the huddle and we call a play. We like, hurry up, get to the line, because we felt like for some reason, y'all weren't going to line up right because of that play. So when I'm lining up, I line up tight on purpose because I know I got this long bend route to the sideline. And I'm trying to see if Midget stay outside. If he would stay outside leverage, I would have stemmed his outside shoulder and got to where I was supposed to be and then went out. Well, when I went tight, he went inside of me. And I look back at Aaron, and Aaron kind of like winks at me because he tells me in the huddle, "I'm coming to you." I'm like, why? I had to put a pass off. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I did. I looked at like, what? Like, this supposed to go to the boundary. This is Boston. This is T. Wilkes' play. I know we've been using Casey, but T. Wilkes is our main receiver, the one that's been catching. You going to T. Wilkes. But he, like, grabs me when everybody's leaving. He's like, Hawk, be ready. I'm going to come to you. I'm like, all right. So I guess Aaron saw something to play before. Midget lines up, and he's inside shade, and I'm tight. You know, I'm like what we call Zen. I'm Z tight. So I'm in more than my regular split. So I run my route. It wasn't the best route. Again, I was nervous like I was versus Bethel. I know the ball was coming to me. Like, Aaron's not going to pump fake me. He said he's coming to me. So my main thing was stem him inside, so you got a lot of room to bend out. So I ran like 2 yards deeper than I was supposed to because I really want to get on Midget's toes because he was kind of sitting. And I didn't want to break my route early so he could just undercut it. So I push it up and I kind of get even with him. And as soon as I turn, the ball's right here. So it's a picture from the Richmond Times of me trapping the ball in my right hand. I caught it with just my right hand. My left hand didn't get up fast enough. So I'm trapping it against my face mask. So I trapped it like this. And I just pull it and I just, coach man, you know, and I just forked it. So as I had trapped the ball in my face, like he threw a dime to my face mask. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of stuck. It will bink. That's all I heard. And when I heard the bink, I saw a body just fly by me. I'm like, damn. He he went for the pick just like I thought he would. So I was just like, ain't nobody else there. So when I turned, it wasn't a soul in sight. All I saw was our media folks who had came down, I guess, because they wasn't there during the game, but it was like in the corner end zone, all our media folks were right there. And that's why I'm pointing at, smiling. I'm laughing at them because they're like, come on, come on, come on, yeah. And I just remember when I got across the goal line, man, I remember the previous week we played North Carolina and I dropped the touchdown pass and Ronald was on the sideline. He wasn't playing. He didn't start that game. And I remember I was distraught because I dropped the touchdown pass. And Ronald was like, man, I was just bragging on you. You dropped the pass. So that whole week leading up to Virginia Tech, I was in the dumps. Like I went to Bible study a lot. I was thinking about Sanelo and Saran because they were supposed to come in that game. They got murdered. That spring before that in February. So that's why I did the pose. The pose was for Sanelo and Saran, and just giving thanks to them because everything came full circle. Like the pose has nothing to do with football. It was for them too.
People don't know that, and I remember you had told me that before. And I remember when they got murdered. They got it was in Isle of Wight County, right?
Isle of Wight, yeah.
Yeah, Smithfield. They would crawl, and it was it shook the community up. It was tough because his dad is a big community activist.
Yeah.
And I was tight with his older brother, and it was crazy, man. But it was bittersweet for me, like I mentioned. I joke about it because it was just crazy because Aaron, who I've known all my life, made the throw, who I grew up playing against, and then you, who was my teammate, and my brother, who I was happy for, except for that moment. And it was just, I remember, I was like, that's crazy. And then the pose was crazy because we had a guy named Keon Carpenter, God rest his soul, starting safety.
Yeah.
That was his pose. And he was, very spiritual, very passionate. He would do it. So at the time, for a split second, I said, he mocking us.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that was Keon's pose, man.
Because Keon will always, if you talk to Sharon or Dre Kendrick, guys will tell you that's Keon would do the fist pump, and that was his thing. He would all, and so I thought you would, but then we talked about it later on, and I read a few articles.
I should have got a flag because I was down there for a long time. Like I lost myself in the pose because I was like really, like I was not emotional as far as crying, but I was just talking to Sanelo Saran, like just talking to them because I missed them so much. Because I didn't play in the Virginia Tech game the previous year because I tore my right ankle up versus Maryland after Florida State when I scored my first ever touchdown was against a school I wanted to go to that Sean went to, was Florida State. The next game at Maryland, I tear my ankle up. They don't know if I'm gonna be able to play again or if I'm gonna be, if I regain like my speed again. Like I never regained the speed that I had in high school, in my opinion, even though I still ran like good 40 times. I never felt special speed-wise when I came back from this 2 torn ligaments in my right ankle and dislocating it. But that made me work on the craft of running routes because when I got to UVA, I didn't know how to run anything but a go route. And they said that. They was like, what did you run in high school? I was like, a go and a stop route. That's it. I didn't know how to run routes. So when I hurt my foot and rehabbing that whole year and battling back to get, to start playing, and I still didn't have full range of motion in my foot that year. And that was a tough year for me because I dropped a lot of passes in 98, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of wide open. Like I had the dropsies, man. So just catching that, it was against Virginia Tech, just reflecting back on it and what it means to the university. It just showed me that I had to, Ahmad, stop trying to be a legendary player and just worry about making plays to help your team. I always tell folks, sometimes you don't got to be a legendary player. You just need to make one play that people consider legendary, and you become a legend. Like people call me a legend, and I laugh because Sean Moore is a legend. Herman Moore is a legend. Aaron Brooks a legend. Marques Hagans a legend. Thomas Jones, Tiki Barber, Anthony Poindexter. The list goes on and on. So you can't. I'm not them. I made a legendary play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that. So I got tired of correcting folks, and now I just embrace when somebody say I'm a legend. But truth be told, I made a legendary play. In high school, I was a legend. College, I just made a legendary play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it takes legendary plays to become a legend. But I mean, sometimes it's tough for me, bro. Like, because every year I gotta relive that moment and relive that play. But it makes me emotional because it makes me think about Saron and Shanelo. And it makes me think about the trials and tribulations leading up to that, of me almost getting kicked out of UVA because of my academics, of not taking the final because of my foot. You know, so you think about, I tear my ankle up, I get surgery. They threatened to kick me out of UVA. I got to get my religious studies professor to write a letter, a recommendation to put me on probation. I get back at UVA, then Shanelo and Saron. I found out their death by a friend of mine who was just in the elevator, just like talking to one of her friends. She was like, man, you hear Shanelo and Saron got shot and killed? They didn't know I was their cousin. So everything was like, 98 was so tough for me. So for that play to happen against a team that I stood up, that really taught me how to be a man and face my wrongs, because when I stood y'all up and Bill Mama made me talk to the recruiter, it just shows you how the Lord works, man. And that really helped me deal with defeat better, because I could never deal with defeat because I was always so successful that I never had to deal with true trials and tribulations as far as in sports. You know, in life I did, you know, with divorce and things like that, but never had to deal with defeat within football. Football was always my safe haven. So when football, you know, taught me how to deal with defeat, football didn't mean as much to me anymore after 98. It just didn't. Like, I loved it, but it wasn't like everything to me. Like,
and you know, I that's really deep, because I didn't know the layers of all that. I didn't know it was that deep. And the thing about it is that just goes to show the average fan, when you watch a play, there's so many layers to that player and the emotion they're dealing with. And like, we just sometimes think it's just a game or it's just a play. Yeah. And for you, it was real. I didn't even know, and I forgot y'all were related. I forgot that.
Yeah. So I'm not a type of, so, and my family could tell you this, and I try to work on this a lot, but I'm not the best like communicator with family. I'm not the best. Like, as much as I go Facebook Live and I do podcasts through my character of Ball Hawk, I'm the opposite when I'm out of character. Like, I'm like the biggest introvert. Like, I stay in the house. I was the only child. I stayed with my big mama. It was just me and her, and I sat in my room and I just watched football, or I did push-ups, or I was, you know, if I would come home for practice before I started, even when I was driving, I would come home for practice before I went to Cahaba House, because I heard Tony and Damon talking about working out after practice and working out before practice. So after we would do a conditioning at Hampton High, you know how conditioning was. I would come home, I would take a shower, come home, eat, and 30 minutes later, I was outside jump roping, doing 4 sets of 100 jump ropes. And then I would get at the start of the driveway, and it was a pole like 35 yards away. And once a car would hit the bridge where my grandmother lived at on Big Butter Road, I would take off and try to see if I could beat the car with my head start before I got to that pole. And I would do that about 20 times. And that was my doubts. Like, I always tell my son, like, all right, man, we got to go outside and do something productive, whether it's soccer, football, basketball, because if you're not working on your skills, they rot. You either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. And that's just one of the things that so in sports, I could be like that. But when it comes to like communicating and being like a cousin or uncle or a nephew, I'm not the best at that. So I feel so much in that area that I overcompensate in other areas. And I always tell folks, that's why I go so hard, because I know I fail in this area. And a lot of people don't understand when I say that. It's like, I could call my aunt or just text my aunt, but they got to call me. Like, my dad's been calling me for like 3 weeks. but I talked to him on Facebook.
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you, man, reach out to him because, like, me and you both have experienced tragedies. We've seen a lot of people not make it. So, and you always say, which I've been stealing from you. I know it's not your saying, but give people their roses while they're here.
Yeah.
And your dad is a great man, and you got a great family. I know how it is because you and I are worker bees, and we are always involved in something. But just make sure you take time to give them their roses and check in, because I mean, you mean a lot to a lot of people, especially your family. But with that being said, I just have like one last part I want to touch on before we wrap up. You eventually get done with UVA, you enter your professional career. Talk briefly about that, and then your brand. How you got to the media, ACC, UVA media stuff, your radio, blog, your gear. I mean, I joke you, and I share your stuff because, and I said it when me and you and Biscuit first got on before we went live. You are one of the hardest people working in the game. Like, you do so much all the time, yet you still have time to be a great father, a great husband.
Yeah.
But how did you get to that point? And what happened after UVA, and how did you get into this whole media mogul and then your gear and your clothing line and everything?
I mean, so after '98, that great play for us. It's a tough year for me. Like I ended up missing a game after we beat North Carolina with a hamstring injury, and I had never missed games. I had never had like problems like that. So 99 was shaky. I kept dropping passes. Then I'll catch, make great plays. Like Wake Forest, and we played Duke. They said I was out of bounds, but my foot was in. So I had a topsy-turvy 99 season, and I was finally able to run track again. So I ran track at UVA. And that's when I really got confidence as far as my speed again. My confidence is always correlated with my biggest attribute in football, which is my speed. And once I felt like I was back to elite as far as running, I was so confident that I looked at our receiving core, and we had a guy named Billy McMullen who went on to be All-American and played for the Eagles and stuff. And we had so much depth. And it's funny how things come full circle. I go to Coach Wilson. I asked him, can I switch to play some defense? I wanted to be Champ Bailey because we had lost to them in '98 in the Peach Bowl. So I was like, I want to be like Champ Bailey. I want to play both ways. I think I could help our DBs because, Coach, I'm fast again. I remember laughing like I'm fast again. He was like, Christ, but you're 179 pounds. You got to get your weight back up. Like every time I ran track, the 2 years I ran track at UVA, I had to shed a lot of muscle. You got to get lean muscle. So I would always get under 180 pounds, and he would always get mad. So I remember I asked him, could I play both ways? We get in the spring. I end up becoming a starter, win basically our top spring performer award. And they gave me the option if I wanted a red shirt. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I think I'm going to just red shirt because I don't know if I'm fully ready yet. And she was just like Michael Jordan's mom. She was just like, either you're ready or you're not, but don't sell yourself short. You just got this award, you were starting, just go play. She was like, why are you worried about it? Like, you never worried about what's next when it came to the sport. Like Biscuit said, he just played. I never worried about the next year because I was always confident that I would do my job. So end up doing well that year at DB, was third in the ACC in interceptions because the first two guys were tied with 6. I had 4. And end up getting a free agent contract with the Atlanta Falcons after fielding phone calls from the 5th round on. That's like the toughest thing watching in the draft, knowing guys fielding phone calls and then they don't get drafted. But went with Mike, had a hell of a camp with the Falcons with Mike. My camp was so good that when we played our first preseason game, I was out there with the starters in a dime package. Wow. So going against Amos Airway, Plexico. So I thought I was going to make the team. And that's when I realized in professional sports, it's not always what you do. It's what's happening around you, which dictates if you're going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I had a hell of a camp. A guy that was drafted named Vinny Sutherland. His name would never leave me because Vinny Sutherland was a 5th round pick from Purdue, kick return receiver, very talented, but had an issue with his priorities, and they had to cut him. And then we signed a guy named Darian Gordon, who could return punts. because they needed a punt returner. And he also played DB. So I went from making the team to getting cut in the same day. And I remember Mike saying, Hawk, just stay up here with me, things can work out. And I didn't understand the business. And I remember I was just so embarrassed that I got cut that I just left. Like, I didn't even call Mike and tell him yes or no. I just left. And that's like my biggest regret, because it took me years if I talked to Mike again. And he still to this day was like, dog, why did you just leave? Like, you talked to nobody. Like, dude, I was shattered when I got cut by Coach Dan Reeves. Like,
He told me.
Like, yeah. I was in my locker room crying. Like, dude, I couldn't move, man. I was paralyzed. Like, I literally left the majority of my clothes in the hotel that I was at. Like, I just left. First thing, smoking, back to Hampton, stayed with my mom, slept on the couch and talking to nobody. Got to work out with the Chiefs, did very well. They was ready to sign me. They was like, go home for a week, we'll sign you. And then my grandfather passed, my dad's father. We called him Dad. We called Big Mama Big Dad on my mom's side, and we called my grandparents Ma and Dad on my dad's side. So he passed away. And then I want to say 9/11 happened. So I couldn't get on the plane and get back to KC. So I didn't get up to KC until around Thanksgiving. Did well there. Went to Europe, was all Europe, second in the league in picks there, came back, performed well in 2002 camp. And then Coach Vermeil, when I got cut by him, man, Coach Vermeil, I appreciate him the most because he broke down the business of sports to me in a way that I could not get mad. He said, my scouting department and assistants want to keep you. I want to keep this other DB who I'm not going to name because I just feel like it's not smart. And this guy won a Super Bowl with me at a previous team. So I'm going to keep him. My vote trumps all their votes. But I'm going to do you a favor. The whole time you've been here, you've been playing offense and defense. We don't know where to put you. You can go to another NFL team, probably make the team, but you'll bounce around this league probably 2 years and you'll be out of it. Or they got this other team, this other league that showcases guys like you. And I got a friend who just became part owner and GM. I'm going to make a call with him. You could play with him. Ended up being in Colorado Crush in the Arena Football League and played there 10 seasons. And by the end of my career, I was that old player that a coach knew that was just bringing me in and let me play games and not practice. And he wanted to do it a third year, and I had to say, you know what? I'm killing a young man's dream by – even though I was performing well, I was still getting 9 or 10 picks, but football wasn't like my breadwinner anymore. I had moved on to – I had started broadcasting and stuff. So when I was in Colorado, our championship year, we would do a special where I would interview players in my own way. I would joke them. You know what I'm saying? I would joke on guys, linemen be eating. So that's how my broadcast journalism got kicked off. I was always animated when I played. I would always talk trash. I always stay out late, signing autographs, talking with kids. So I was always the last player to leave the Pepsi Center. And my wife would be pissed about that because she always had to wait. Because if it was a kid, it didn't matter who it was, Big Vic, I was there cherishing in the moment. So if a fan didn't get an autograph signed by me and they say, hey, ball, I was called Birdman, and hey, Birdman, can I have an autograph? I would drop everything and go sign an autograph. If somebody kid wanted to run around the turf before they pulled it up, I would run around. And when I was done, I was still in my gear. Everybody was leaving, and they was telling me to hurry up. So my broadcast journalism career got kicked off by doing stuff with The Crush, and then I did stuff with FSN Mountain. And then the Saber at UVA got in contact with me and wanted me to write like little columns for them, just breaking down what I saw from previous games. So I actually got my writing, skills up. And then in 2007, we moved back here because I was a free agent. I signed a deal with Nashville, and I wanted my wife to be around family members while I was playing. It's the greatest decision ever because in 2 years, the Arena Football League went bankrupt.
I remember.
And I always did good with my money. And I remember my wife saying, now you can go back to school. Because people don't know, I left. I was like Damon. I went 4 years of college and didn't graduate. That spring getting ready for the draft.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know
that.
I
didn't go to any classes. I took the deuces to UVA. I was like, I'm going to get ready for the draft. I was here getting ready for the draft and not going to classes, if that makes, like, I didn't leave and go to Florida. No, I was still in Charlottesville. I was training for the draft, but won't go into class. I was majoring in the NFL that spring. And when I got back here, everything happened for a reason. My wife's grandma used to always tell me, every year of me playing arena football, why don't you go back to school in the off season? I'm like, because I'm in Colorado. I can't go back to Charlottesville. I had an excuse. So when we moved back to Charlottesville, league went under after the 2008 season, and I took class and I got my degree in the summer of 2009. So even though I'm the class of 2001, I'm really the class of 2009 at UVA. That's when I finished. And it's the greatest decision ever, man, because once I got my degree, I realized football didn't have dominion over me anymore. And once football didn't have dominion over me anymore, I was carefree when it came to the league, to the AFL. Like, I had some of my best years once I got my degree because I had a fallback plan.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to get into broadcast journalism. I was doing a lot of work here on the radio and doing a lot of unpaid. I did a lot of unpaid work for 5 years. 5 years. I didn't start getting paid for doing this until a couple years ago. For 5 years at least, I did a lot of unpaid work.
People don't realize that because you and I both do a lot of media stuff. They think it's like everybody coming in with that Tony Romo money, and it's a lot of pro bono. Get your name out there. You using your own credit card, debit card. It ain't like people don't realize that.
They pay your way. They may pay your meals, but like, it's a lot of time to this day, man. And a lot of my advisors, I have some advisors that work with me, they get irritated with me because I won't charge some folks. Like, for what? I always believe that God got a plan for me. And if I allow money to truly be a dominion in everything in my life, then I could be helping somebody. I could be hurting somebody from there. But like, I could be the blessing for somebody. Like, I can be that one person that be on somebody's show or whatever platform that can help get their career rolling. Like, I don't need payment for everything. Don't get me wrong. I know my worth, and I'll pay attention to who is who. Like, if ESPN like, hey, Ball Hawk, we want you to do this, we got to talk chicken because I know you got it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want no Tony Romo money, and I'm not trying to get rich, but I think a lot of folks have a misconception like, oh, dog, you made it. Like, no. I'm like you with your brand. I focus on my brand and my family more than anything. Like, I don't put anything in front of my brand and my family anymore. So a lot of the local radios that do sports here, if I got something planned, if I know I'm going to do a podcast on Facebook and YouTube, I'll turn them down. And it could be something paying, but I'm not putting something in front of my brand at this point of my career. The Ball Hawk brand means a lot to me. The ball, is under the umbrella Ball Hawk LLC. Shut the Hell Up Juice means a lot to me. STHUjuice.com started. So Shut the Hell Up Juice started with me just talking trash on the radio here, 92.7. I was working for free 5 days a week. Show went from 3 to 7, working for free. I'm going to say that again. I work for free over a year, 5 days a week. Best material. Never cut any corners. Almost got fired my 5th day. Going to my 5th day of that show, they were going to fire me because I was trash, because I was being too robotic. I wasn't talking trash. They fell in love with what they saw on social media. Once I got the job, I started being, so this is Ahmad Hawkins. No, I realized I can't be Brian Gumble. I can't be the next Stephen A. I got to be the first Ball Hawk. Not Ahmad Hawkins, but I'm going to be a character of myself. But so the last day, because they were planning to fire me, Vick, that Friday, they were going to fire me. So I said, I'm going to go out on a blaze of glory because it wasn't no coming back. Man, I came out saying the trash can juice. I remember this is when Dwight Howard went through his debacle in L.A., and I was talking about him fighting Kobe, and I was laughing and joking about that. And at the end of the show, because it was a hip-hop and sports show. So in between of me talking, I played old school hip. So I was DJing, I was picking out my own music. Well, at the end, since it's a 4-hour show, I just said, you know what? I'm about to rap, and I'm going to recap my show. Freestyle. I'm going to look at my topics, and I'm going to just freestyle. If it don't rhyme, it don't rhyme. Unedited, I'm going to just go. And I did it, right? basically like Martin, like fire me. So when I left that day, the bosses weren't there. So I was like, well, you know, I ain't gonna be called in Monday, so I'm good. I told my wife, I was like, that was my last day on the radio. Hope they like the show today. I'm good. By Saturday morning, I get a bunch of tags. And I'm like, damn, they hated it. Well, folks like, yo, is this the same dude from Monday? Because this Friday show was like that. And that rap at the end, yo, he had me in tears. Like, yo, we got to keep him on the radio. So that birthed Ball Hawk, which y'all see now. Like, I'm just being myself. But if they wouldn't have never told me they was going to fire me, I would have been just a boring fraction of myself, man. And I look at guys on TV like Stephen A. Smith, Jason Whitlock, Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. And I used to always try to compare myself to them and try to hate on what they did. Now I just admire them, man. And I pull from what they do because it's not easy. And you know.
I know it's not.
It's not easy carving out your own lane and generating interest. Every day is tough in the sense of trying to formulate a game plan of how to put out your information to draw traffic. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't realize it's like being a stand-up comedian. Like, you got to come up with new material daily though here, like every single day, no matter what. No, I don't write down everything, but you better be sure I got an idea, everything I want to touch on that week by that end of that night, you know? At first when I was doing it, I didn't have a script. I didn't know what it was to write a script, to have a game plan, bullet points, because I never had to do my own show because I was just an analyst. But, man, and you know now, running your own podcast, bro, it's people don't realize the work that go into it, especially when you don't have live guests calling in and you're just driving the vehicle for an hour straight.
Hey, listen, it's all, look, I don't say this because you're my young brother. I say this because I respect you 100%. What you've done in the last 10 years has inspired me, and I was already doing very well, you know, but at the same time, with my confidence and my drive and my passion, it pushed me to start my own nonprofit. Then it pushed me to start my business, my for-profit, you know, all under the Vicktory Life brand, everything, the podcast. Because what I was doing is, prior to doing all this stuff I'm doing now, I was doing it for everyone else. You know, I was going on everyone else's shows and I was like, and I started watching, me and you watch the same stuff, and I checked for you. I was like, hold on, man, I'm gonna start, you know, doing my own thing. But I think you make a good point, and I want to touch on this and wrap up.
Okay.
That is the part where I think makes your legacy so special, because like you and Biscuit and Tony and Damon and Andre Davis and Willie Powell, everyone I've talked to these last 2 weeks on the Legacy Spotlight, is you have always been able to evolve and just like sudden change in football, a turnover, you were able to come back and respond. You've been able to evolve where, unfortunately, some people can't. They become stuck. So like with your clothing line, your brand, your podcast, your blogs, YouTube, all the different stuff you've done, it keeps me and many people that follow you engaged because you don't keep yourself boxed in. And I think, and I know what you felt when you got cut, because I remember being released from the Ravens in minicamp. It hurts because success is addicting, and you love being part of the journey and the story, achieving your goals. And it hits, and what people don't realize is when you play a sport like football, unlike basketball and other sports, maybe boxing, it ends abruptly. You know, it ends very abruptly. So you were able to keep that going. So, man, shout out to you. I really appreciate your passion and all the stuff you do, and you inspire a lot of people. And I see a few people, I sometimes laugh to myself. I see some people and they trying to mimic, and I laugh because I'm like, man, they going live and stuff, and they in the bathroom or I'm like, man, y'all need to just do what you do. You know, create your own path, man. And it's not working for them, but no hate there. It's just me being honest. But real quick before we wrap up, Hawk, just tell everybody about just where they can find your stuff, how can they listen to you, all the different shows, your website. Just real quick before we wrap up, if I'm checking for you, how can I get all this stuff?
Yeah, and you don't gotta need to rush, bro. You know, I always make time for you, but So the first thing, if anybody wants to find any work that I do, just go to ahmadhawkins.com. That has the TV work that I do here locally on CBS 19 with Damon Dillon. We usually, shoot a preview and a brief recap of UVA football games when I'm in the studio. All my walkthrough, the web series that they see on Twitter, all those episodes with the uncut Petty Hawk. I always say the Petty Hawk episodes when I get to ask them questions that's fun and they get to really see the player's personality. That's available on ahmadhawkins.com. Any podcast episode that I ever put out on Podbean, it uploads to ahmadhawkins.com. So that's an easy hub to always find anything that I do, whether it's podcast, TV, or anything with UVA. I always try to put it on that website. But if they want to go to anchor.fm and subscribe there, there are ways also to donate to the brand. iTunes is available on iTunes, available on Spotify. It uploads to YouTube, Podbean, any platform that carries podcasts is there. The only one that's not on is SoundCloud. I didn't do SoundCloud. That's the only one that my podcast is available on. But Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn app, The Ball Hawk Show, just search that. Just The Ball Hawk Show because what's the linebacker play for Green Bay? He got a podcast. And people usually find his because he's a bigger name than me. The dude with the long locks and stuff. AJ Hawk. He has a podcast.
AJ Hawk. Yeah.
So they're fine. And also Andrew Hawkins has a podcast now too. So since they're bigger names than me, if you don't type in The Ball Hawk Show and you just type in some type of hawk, theirs are going to pop up first. And it should. I mean, the bigger platforms. But as far as my clothing line, just go to sthujuice.com. I do the shirts right here at my house. My license is my home, so I do everything myself. Salute to Tommy Reeman, man, sitting on my chest, man. Definitely proud of him. I have a small. I call myself the mom and pop clothing line. He has a legit movement. Like sitting on my chest is legit movement. Definitely check them out. What's his website? Sittingonmychest.store. Check him out, man, because people realize about me is that as much as I love the spotlight, I love passing the spotlight to the next person. I feel like that's my calling. Like I majored in religious studies. Folks always ask, are you going to be a minister? I just feel like I minister through sports. I minister through just having folks see the game differently. Don't go with the PC Sly Fox narrative that's put out there. I feel like that's unfair to a lot of players. And that's why my lane that I created in the sports media is to always go against the status quo narrative. Like showing you that you can form your own narrative if you just take your time and do your homework. And you will see that a lot of times we are influenced and swayed to think a certain way, and players get demonized, and it's not fair to them. And that's why I felt like that's my lane, to always put folks on the other side of the spectrum. Like, yeah, we call a player trash, but let's also say they're trash by the highest standard of trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are the best in the world trash. Like, don't ever, anytime somebody say somebody's a bum, yeah, he's a professional bum, like, meaning he's still one of the best in the world. Like, I always want to say that. And, yeah, you may know somebody on the corner that's better. We all know local legends. We all know that. But they didn't do what they were supposed to do all around. That's why I always respect guys like yourself that you said it, getting cut is one of the worst things in life, but you didn't let it stop you. And what you're doing now is you're empowering the next generation from the mental health side, because a lot of times folks don't realize how, as a young man, we have PTSD and mental health is so, swept under the rug, and you're called weak for having to go talk. Like, going to talk to people saved my life. Like, if I wanted to go talk to true professionals and didn't have counselors come in and sitting me down and just really tapping into my brain, you wouldn't get this out of me, because I was a very angry young man. I was a very self-centered young man. I was very conceited. As much as I love Ronald Curry and I praise him, I despise Ronald. I wanted his spotlight. And I realized God told me you was not ready for that spotlight because you would have self-destructed. Like, that's why I wasn't successful until the end of my AFL career, because that's when God prepared me so much that once I got that spotlight, I didn't even know I had it because I was trying to share the spotlight on somebody else. I would have self-destructed in high school if I had a spotlight Ronald had. But a lot of folks don't know. I was so jealous of that dude. I despised.
I never knew that. I never knew that. I would have never known that.
I'm giving you exclusive. Like,
yeah.
I was a diabolical hater towards Ronald Curry in high school. As much as we vibed, we had a great. Don't get me wrong, we got a great relationship. Like, he was never mean to me, but I would do some undercutting, childish, diabolical things to that dude. And I know as an adult, he probably would think back, like, damn, Hulk used to do me dirty. And I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did a lot of people bad in high school because I was so self-centered. But a lot of people didn't know that because I know how to mask it. That now that I'm older, I'm not afraid to tell folks, like, yo, I was a butthole. I was this towards you. And a lot of folks be looking like, you were? And I could tell them instances of when I was buttholes towards them to where they would just be like, damn, you right.
I'm listening to this and I never knew that.
I masked it, bro.
I mean, because even forget football, like even on the hallway, fifth period, my sister, like talking about Hawk, like nobody ever was like, you know, because we grew up with some guys you had to watch your back with. You know what I'm saying? Or you grew up with guys, we had a few teammates and even at UVA and I know at Tech, you see like, bruh, you know, hey, that's your girl, tell her go that way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I would have never known that you had that kind of resentment towards Ron. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
I mean, because I would compete against not to get too long with, because I know you're trying to wrap up. So everybody know he dated Shonda, right?
Yeah.
I had to go get me an older chick. I don't want to say her name, but they know it was a light-skinned girl that I dated that was older than me. And the only reason I was dating her because Ron had Shonda. I wanted to make sure I kept up. And I'm sitting there like, this dude sees me. Like, Ron actually like would look up to me like, you the big, like, he was appreciative to me, and he never tried to like just like high class me and big boy me. But in my mind, I was such a mental midget that I didn't see that. Like Ron, like I always say, man, he one of the best human beings ever because no matter what, Ron would still go with me every day before games. We would go to Burger King and eat 2 Whoppers with cheese. That's when they were 99 cents. So think about that. We performing after eating 2 Whoppers with cheese before every game.
Oh, yeah, yo, I tell my wife and my son and my daughters that the pregame meal back in the day, me, AP, Milo, and Walt would run it was a place called Hot and Now.
Hot and Now, yep.
And get like 35 cheeseburgers and Milo and Walt out there doing their thing, and I'm blocking and playing defense on straight trash, like eating stuff that won't. But I mean, I appreciate you sharing that because I'm still processing that comment because to me, we talk about like, you know, just real guys, real and like, you know, always joking, talking trash, clowning, uplifting your teammates and leadership. I didn't even know that whole circumstance was occurring in your body. Yeah, I
wasn't a leader in high school or college. Like, I know I was a captain at Hampton. My work ethic made me a captain, but my mentality, like Derek White was the true captain. Like, Derek White was the captain. Like, that dude voice was a voice I listened to. Like, but when it came to truly leading men, heck no. Ronald was the leader. Like, I was a captain or the coin toss, but I wasn't a true captain. I was like I said, man, I had that inferior complex, that Napoleon complex. Like, it was so bad that at 41 years old, I'm at peace now because I've talked to so many folks and I understand mental health. I understand brain states. I talk to young men who are just like me. So, I work at an alternative high school. So every day is a blessing because I get to work with young men who are just like me that were told, you just being weak, suck it up, because we were uneducated in that aspect, in that realm of life, So that's why me being on your show, I can be at peace and tell you. And my buddy wanted me to save it for a book. It's like, dude, I don't want to write a book. I just tell my story on my Big Bro show, and I know you're in that field. You understand it. Like everything I'm saying, you understand when I say mental health. You know exactly what I'm saying when I say brain. The upstairs brain and the downstairs brain, the barking dog, the wise owl. Like, you know what I'm talking about. My dog stayed barking, but my outgoing laughter was a front. I was one of the most miserable and sad kids, and wasn't my family life. I just felt like I just wanted to be the man, and God was like, "You not ready." Because if I would have been the man in Hampton, I'll still be in Hampton. I would have never went to college. I'd be dead right now. Like I grew up in Newport News. I had a mouth. I fought a lot. People know Hawk would fight at the drop of a dime, and that was a part of me moving. Because when I left Glen Gardens, the room I stayed in got shot up. So, it's just one of the things is God was leading my way through my big mama, always trying to get me in the church, baptized me in the 10th grade, and we always fight in church that by the time I left UVA, I was in the forefront of, learning about the walk and Jesus and God and John the Baptist. Like, it's just, I gotta tell you, my life was just full circle. Everything in my life, I can say that's a full circle.
Well, you threw me off a couple of weeks ago, last week, because me and you always online together, and you had a post about why did John,
why did Jesus want John the Baptist?
Yeah. Every now and then you'll have posts like that, and I was like, oh, and with you, I didn't know if you lead and try and set somebody up.
Nah.
But
no, this is one of them things where I understand the climate of our society, and they call them Bible thumpers. So I always feel like God set out soldiers in different ways, and that's why I always say I minister through sports. And if I could get somebody to change their way of thinking through sports, then you can start to have a conversation. Once they respect you in a different realm, you'd be more receptive. A lot of people don't know that I always make sure my walk is right, that sometimes I struggle. I got a lot of demons I struggle with. My wife knows and my kids know. I do a lot of apologizing because they still come to the forefront, and I still work on them. I got to pray, I got to read. So that's why a lot of times I read so many books now, because it helps me be more well-rounded, and it keeps that conceited part of me suppressed, man. Because like I said, bro, in Hampton High School, I was a butthole, man. I really
I'll say this. It's interesting because that Eastern Newport News still in you, and it's in all of us that grew up, or even Shell Road and me. Because I know last year, a couple of years, me and you, Twitter ain't for everybody. Me and you and I on Twitter, and we run into some trolls and some people. And I remember hitting you up, and you had every right, because even the other day, it's a Tech fan who went at Marques one time. We followed each other, but he was real extra because he was trolling a player yesterday that didn't get drafted. And there was something that came at you when we were talking about the rivalry game. And I remember you started to go to that place, that dog place, and you were going in, and I was looking at my phone, and I was like, oh, yo, I called you. Yep. And I said, don't do it, take it down, because I know you, and I know that place where you're going to, and it's not fair, but guys like me, you, Damon, anybody, I hate to say it, but Black men in our position, and even if you work at Foot Locker, it don't matter, we can't do that. And that's what they want, but I know how you build. And I know where you come from, because I said, oh, that Petty Hawk, he getting ready. And I don't blame you, because I just learned to mute and block, but I mean.
And I learned from you too. Yeah. So to let the folks know, man, like you call, like it's been plenty of times you hit me up through DM or text message, but you actually called me. And I always tell folks, like, I have a lot of mentors who keep their arms wrapped around me no matter what. And I always make sure I don't surround myself with Me Too people. I want folks around me to be like, no, you're wrong right here. I love you, but you're wrong, because that's sharpening me. So a lot of folks don't know, before we played Tech and lost when Bryce dropped the ball, this guy came at me and called me the F word, for homosexual. And I retweeted it and said, what's wrong if I am this? And some fans of UVA didn't know how Twitter worked, so they thought that I called somebody the F word. Call them homosexual. And it got back to I got to some head honchos at the university, and I was almost done.
Yeah.
It took her and the folks of the upper tier understanding Twitter to realize, like, nah, he actually retweeted that somebody called him that, and he said, what's the matter if he was one? That's not bad. Like, but they said, and Carla put me to the side. She was like, I love Petty Hawk, but don't make it seem like he always got to protect the university, because you can actually be hurting yourself. So I'd rather you just block and don't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it took not only you, but it took her, because I was so like, I'm a fire. Like I didn't realize that my brand had elevated to that point to where I couldn't just respond to everybody. I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention. But like you said, I have my head down. I'm just working. And I'm doing sideline reporting now. So my platform and expectations has changed. But I didn't know that. I'm just working. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be in the booth. I want to be the lead analyst. I want to do ACC network. So that's my goal. So I still see it as the same work. And they was like, all right, you at the level now to where I could get contacted by one of the media people at UVA. Like, hey, we seen somebody just respond like this to you. We just want to let you know, if before you see it, leave it alone. Don't say nothing. I get a lot of those now. And a lot of the times now, I just ignore it. And I know exactly what you talk about yesterday on Twitter. And I was just like, I can't respond. Because I used to always respond when they went at Quinn. Remember, I used to always respond.
Yeah.
Now I got to just take it. And it hurts me to my heart, man, because it's like, damn, man, these boys at a vulnerable point, and you worried about being the life of the – that was me, though. I used to want to be the life of the party by any means necessary. And I learned.
Yeah, but where we come from, the intern, and I've explained this even when I was an undergrad at Virginia Tech. I've explained this on radio shows when I've had to defend people like my cousin or Alverson or other people. You got to understand something. Dade County in Miami, Chicago, the 757 Tower, the Richmond, parts of Richmond. We grew up, me and my cousin Doug were talking about this. We grew up where you resolve conflict by confrontation.
Yep.
You know, so like if I can't get at you with these hands, I'm going to come at you verbally. And believe me, that struggle that I mentor you and Biscuit and other guys and Sharon about, it's just, I have to teach it to myself too, because I see stuff, because I know what it's like to get cut from the Ravens or to sit at home in Hampton on draft day and see guys that you're better than go get their name called. And it hurts because the work we put in, whether you play gymnastics or baseball or track, it is very hard work. And when somebody just wants to troll and get retweets and you know they're a sucker, you want to go in and you want to go in hard. I mean, I remember I had to delete something real quick. I got caught up one time because I interact with a lot of Tech and UVA and Maryland, North Carolina fans, and it's all good. And sometimes
you're the voice of reason, and they hate that you're the voice of reason.
They hate that I'm the voice of reason. And this one dude from down in Charlottesville said something. I said, bro, and I was supposed to be down there. I was going to take my son to the Tony Bennett camp. And I said, hey, I'm going to be down there. I gave him the date. And then I looked at it and I just deleted it real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because I was ready to, you know.
Yeah, man. I mean, you said it right, bro. And I tell my students now and the kids I mentor, I like the easiest thing for a man to do is to respond in a physical manner or through emotions. But the hardest thing to do is to approach somebody, sit down with them and tell them to their face the issue they have with them, and then receive the issue they got with you and build on that. Because it takes maturity to listen. It's easy. We married, right? And we got kids. So it's easy to like kids, I told you don't do this. And the kid be like, why? You like, because I said so. And now, because I said so, don't operate in this house anymore, because that's a cop-out. Like, what am I truly teaching my kid by saying because I said so? Give them some interventions. Give them some tools to understand why you can't do X, Y, and Z. And the same thing with Twitter, man, just a cesspool. And I had a guy recently redo my Wikipedia page and put something up that was false and was laughing. This Tech guy who was laughing. And I remember the dude, what's his name? Like BD Fish, who is a Tech fan, just came out of the fence like, yo, bro, he a good dude. Like, why you coming to him? Because it was a tweet between Virginia and Virginia Tech fans. And I had said something like, oh, man, that's a good point. And I actually was telling the Virginia Tech fan, like, yo, you just made a good point. And I guess that new dude saw I had the cup in my hand in the picture. So he comes at me, was like, how was it, Berlin and Thunder laughing? And I'm saying to myself, like, bro, I was a professional getting paid to play. Like, do you realize, like, you have no idea, like, what everything, like, hearing Rutland talk about playing over, like, people don't realize this is not the only money in sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make addition to say, oh, you ain't make it to the NFL. I'm very, very proud of my AFL career because I didn't have to work a 9 to 5 for 10 years. I didn't have to work a 9 to 5. A couple of years I retired. You know what I'm saying? Like, I walked away from the game. So I'm always appreciative because when I was at Hampton, in my book of blessings, I wanted God to bless me with the opportunity to play professional football. I wasn't matter of fact of putting which league, and I know that now. I said professional. So Arena Football League is professional. NFL Europe is professional. I never said I wanted to play in the NFL. I always said professional because Sean taught me that. He was like, that's not the only league. You can play in Canada. You can play everywhere. As long as you're playing the game you love and you're getting the paycheck and you're comfortable. Because I never wanted to be a millionaire. Don't get me wrong. Everybody want to buy their mom and their dad houses, but hey, bro, everybody can't be blessed with millions. And I don't know if I want those problems. Anyway, I like going to the movies. I mean, it's getting hard now when me and my wife go to the movies in Charlottesville and everybody like, hey, boy, like my wife, like, we can't go nowhere without somebody knowing you. And I'm like, man, and I'm a little fish. I couldn't imagine being Mike. I always told Mike, like, I know me and Mike used to play Madden in Atlanta all the time because he couldn't go nowhere and get no clothes.
Still can't.
And we just playing that. Like, that's why me and him was always cool because he knew I could play video games all day just like him.
That's what he said. Yeah.
And people get mad here at UVA because I would not let them disrespect Michael Vick or Ronald Curry. Not on my watch. Those my blood, but like, and you see me on Twitter, like, blood thicker than anything. You can't say nothing bad about Mike Vick. Love that dude. Like,
and you know, that's how it is. I mean, it's gonna be a few people when I air this, they're gonna be like, yo, what do you know, look, man, I don't care. At the end of the day, I've been wanting to do this. This was great, man. And I've seen you and Marques and even other guys like Biggie, Elton Brown, all my UVA folk. Even my homegirl, she worked in Norfolk State. She's a couple of years, Alicia Tucker. You know, it's Leslie Satchel who went to Bethel.
Hey, man, Lakeisha Fred was coaching here. Yeah. That's a legend too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so for me, it is what it is, man. They get caught up in the one part of it, the football, and it's so much deeper. Like Biscuit talked about, just our legacies and the relationships and the connections and the history behind everything. But I'm gonna stop there, man, because I know you and I, we can talk all day.
This is what we do for a living. And I don't, most of the time it's like Drink Champs and all those YouTube and like Joe Budden podcasts where you think 2 hours and 3 hours is a long time, but then once you start to listen, you sucked in. So I'm gonna just say, for the folks who don't know, outside looking in, 757 is more than just a slogan, more than just an area code. We pride ourselves, even though I play for the Crabbers, we pride ourselves on not having crab mentality. So that's why we always feel like we made it when somebody from the 757 made it. It's not about, damn, I was better than him. No. When Mike was the #1 pick, you would have thought I went to Tech with him. When I got in the van, how he greeted me, you would have thought I went to Tech with him. Like, people was like, yo, didn't y'all go to rival schools? I was like, this my bro from down the bottom, Anderson Park. You know what I'm saying? Like, people got to realize 757 it's a unified slogan, a unified way of life, and it's never going to change. And anybody that comes out to 757 that needs anything from me and want to go through the football path or the sports path or brand, like, I'm here because I'm never going to hate on them. Why would I stop somebody else's blessing? I could be, killing my own. So we got to get out of each other's way, continue to stay unified, stop fighting amongst each other, stop killing each other, stop trying to own blocks that's not ours anyway over colors. We got to chill with that and then start becoming entrepreneurs, start teaching the next generation, and start having dominion on your own lives. I know everybody has a 9 to 5, but if you can become a full-fledged entrepreneur and you can start to invest in other folks who are trying to be entrepreneurs and create that legacy, that Black Wall Street again, man, that's the move. And just make sure you stay safe right now. But definitely appreciate you, man, and love what you're doing. Thank you for being the ultimate mentor since I was a young freshman. Always been there for me. Always, just being an inspiration, bro. I definitely appreciate you and Vicktory Life. That's a movement, and I love it, man. And I love everything about you, man. You know I could go on, and it's not just because you in front of me, but anybody I run across, I'd be like, that's my big bro. No matter what. No matter what. You always my big bro. You took care of me when Sean left, because Sean meant the most to me, and you don't know it, but you took care of me, because there's been plenty of times I should have been in the bull in the ring at Hampton High School.
I appreciate you too, man. You know, you already know, man. I share everything you do. I love you, man. You got a wonderful family, and I love your brand. I love your vision, your movement, your energy, man. And I'm always going to be here for you. Thank you for a great show. And
Anytime, bro.
Hey, I know I'm gonna be with you tomorrow when you go live with Later Tonight after the documentary.
Hey, yeah, I'm gonna wait till Monday. I'm gonna wait till Monday, because the wife, you know, she let me do Facebook Live. She knew I was coming on, so you know, got to recalibrate and focus and give her the rest of the day. So I'm not gonna do no live after this, you know, the 3rd and 4th episodes of The Last Dance. But Monday, it's gonna be smoking.
Oh, I can't wait, man. And well, tell her I said thank you, man, and God bless y'all, man.
Always, God bless you too, man. Tell your little ones I said what's up, and I see the volleyball. I see Isaiah out there working on the shot. Tell him I see him too now.
I will. It's gonna mean a lot to him. I tell him.
Yeah, man. Keep it up, bro. I definitely appreciate the love, man. It definitely means a lot, man. Don't ever change, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and what you're doing in the mental health field, we definitely need it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you, boss. Take care.
All right, bro.
All right.